Coming up now is another sparkling Two Mics podcast.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mics on Talk Radio, and we've got an awful lot going on today. I've just taken my dog to a kennel. Mr. Parry seems to think that's a terrible idea because he knows nothing about dogs. We'll get into that a little bit later on. We'll be talking about Cornwall, where they've made some kind of amazing historic discovery of what they think might be the bones of...
The bones of King Arthur.
Wow.
At Tintagel.
Tintagel. Yeah, very exciting times.
Not bad.
We'll be talking about that. There's a human head transplant going on as well. We may touch upon that. And also, of course...
I tell you what, you could do one of them, couldn't you?
Yeah. Well, guess whose head I wouldn't want? I wouldn't want yours. Because that would make everything much worse.
Nobody want yours, mate.
However, we are also going to talk about the worst news of all for you today, the death of fish and chips. You can't eat them anymore. Nobody's going to be selling them.
It's a load of rubbish.
What's
happening is that all these so-called gastropubs now cropping up are doing things like baked potatoes. Let me tell you, I've done a spot survey across the Talk Radio studios today.
Yeah.
98% of people want fish and chips. They don't like humus, and they... Humus, and they don't want a baked potato, right?
OK, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
We are the Two Mics. This is Talk Radio. We'll be doing listography coming up a little bit later on. We'll explain what that's all about as well. Loads of it coming on all day. This is Talk Radio. We are the Two Mics, and I'm not quite as delighted as I expected to be to say a very good afternoon to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. He's nothing but abused me since I got here.
Well,
very good afternoon to you.
Well, very good afternoon to you, Mike, and I must now outline your outrageous behaviour. So you're going on holiday, that's good, and you're taking your children with you.
Outrageous. Going on holiday with my kids.
Yes,
what
that's
a terrible
right.
thing.
And the mother of your children, and that's great, and it'll be a great family occasion. I hope you have a lovely time. I'm not going to tell anybody where you're going. You know,
no, that would be helpful, thank you.
Well, the Balearics, but I mean, you know, that's...
I'll give you a kick in the Balearics if you carry on with that.
Well, don't worry about that. However, to take your very young and excitable dog to some foreign kennel, when I say foreign, I mean foreign with a small f, i.e. somewhere the poor dog has never been before, with human beings it's never met before, to be caged for 2 weeks, to have bits of meat thrown through the cage bars.
You've been to this place, have you?
For it to
have you been to this place?
To snaffle up off the cold concrete
Answer
floor.
the question. Have you been to this
to
place?
snaffle up off the cold concrete floor.
Are you not going to answer me?
Is a disgrace.
Have you been to the place?
Well, of
where
course
he is?
I haven't. I wouldn't. If I had a dog, I'd never put it in a place like that.
Well, your dog didn't live long enough to put it in a kennel, did he?
No, it
didn't. Committing suicide.
No.
Let me tell you about the people.
It was a psychologically disturbed
Let me tell
dog.
you first of all. So you're going to now fall flat on your face. Are you prepared for it?
I'm prepared for anything,
You said he's gone to a place where he's never been before.
Yes.
Incorrect.
Oh, yes?
He's going to the place where he was born. He's actually going to spend time with his own mother, his natural mother, who still lives in the farm where the litter of puppies was born 2 years ago.
What a load of rubbish.
Last year he went there for his holidays and he met his dad as well. He's
really?
from Finland.
Really?
And so he had a very, very happy family reunion. In fact, the woman who runs this particular farm is not just somebody who keeps kennels. She is, in fact, a multi-award-winning Crufts Labrador trainer and breeder.
Yes. Have you seen her certificates?
I have indeed.
Have you?
My dog has its own certificates. In fact, my dog's brother won a Crufts Award this very year.
And have you got pictures of all these certificates?
You can have a look at, please. You haven't
brought them.
But you're very welcome.
Oh,
I don't particularly want to give her name out on the air, but you're certainly very welcome to peruse her website, where you will see where she does her business.
So, like your dog?
Yes.
Ziggy?
Yes. You can,
well, we use Ziggy as a photograph of Ziggy
I've asked
at our
you not
live
to
shows.
keep using his name
as well. We'll use it once, everybody hears, so don't worry about it. You know.
Well, I do worry about it because
people don't have,
you are the most
retentive problems.
You are the most single-mindedly sort of secretive person in the world, right? You're very happy to blurt out anything about my life that you feel is necessary to do for the purposes of what you would loosely call entertainment.
Yes.
But, I'm not having it anymore. And I'm not having you slagging off the place where I put my dog, which is a very reputable place. Not only is it reputable...
Got a picture of it, have we?
I'm not sending out pictures of where the dog is, no.
Oh, OK.
You don't seem to know that. We don't seem to have pictures of anything that you have in your life, apart from when you send them out by mistake. And then you try and hush it all up, don't you?
No.
Like the time you sent out your address. And then you asked me how you could get rid of it off Twitter.
No,
Like
rubbish.
the time you took a photograph, which people would rather not have seen, and we pretended it hadn't happened.
No, not at all.
Really?
I can't help the fact that a camera reflects in daylight, and the fact
that it was in the reflection was the thing that most people got upset about.
Well, I had a pair of shorts on because I'd just come out of the shower, OK?
Yeah.
So
it didn't look like you had anything on.
Well, I can't help the fact that people's vision is skewed. The point is that you're abandoning your dog for 2 weeks.
I'm not abandoning my dog.
Why
I'm giving my dog back to the place where we brought the dog from, where he has a very, very good family of carers, where he has members of his own family actually living there, and where there are many, many Labradors with whom he can frolic during the morning and afternoon hours.
But Labradors in particular get terribly stressed And,
How do you know? What do you know about Labradors?
And distressed.
Have you ever had a Labrador?
If they're separated, I know all about Labradors.
You know all about Labradors?
If they're separated...
Even though you've never had one?
If they're separated from their owners.
Is that right?
Labradors are the breed of dog which most crave human contact. And it's got to be friendly human contact.
And he will have loads of human contact.
Well,
there's lots of people that live there. There's a whole bunch of people that work there. It's a fantastic place. There could not be a better place for him to go.
Why is his mother still there? I mean, is she some kind of breeding dog or something? Is all she does is have litters and all that kind of stuff?
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's not very nice, is it?
Well, that's what happens in the dog world, which you know nothing about.
Well, I mean, that doesn't sound like a very appropriate sort of way to...
What, you think dogs shouldn't breed? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think they should.
Have you ever watched two dogs in a park?
But they shouldn't be puppy machines, should they?
They're not puppy machines.
Sounds like...
This woman of whom I speak is probably one of the most, if not the most highly rated Labrador breeder in this country.
Really, yeah.
Yes.
And all she does is keep dogs locked up to make them breed puppies, which she can then sell for profit. Is that right?
Not at all.
No, well, so you got your dog free, did you?
No, I paid for the dog.
Oh, right, well, there you go.
So now you're attacking dog breeders, are you?
No, I'm not attacking dog breeders.
So you know nothing about it. You will get yourself into very hot water, and you might end up landing yourself with a lawsuit if you carry on like this.
Why is this?
Yeah, because the woman you're talking about is very highly regarded, very highly esteemed. She travels all over the world, judges dog competitions
I have no doubt.
in Helsinki, in Tokyo, in Mexico City.
You're actually
completely wrong.
You're actually giving indicators of identity far more than I am. I've not named this woman. I've not said where she is.
No, but you're attacking her, and I think you should stop it immediately.
I'm not attacking her at all. I'm saying
out of ignorance, out of everything, because everything that you talk about.
This is a weird old sort of situation. This weird old situation.
How is it weird?
Well, you go around, to these sort of puppy farms and find yourself a dog, and then you take it. And
there is such a thing. There is such a thing as the Kennel Club, which again you'll know nothing about.
Yes.
There are plenty of unscrupulous.
Well,
puppies.
I presume that's a club full of kennels.
It's not a club full of kennels, actually. No, and that's not even funny. Have you had a lack of sleep or something before you came in today?
Not at all.
Is the heat starting to affect you?
Is it not true that your timing on acquiring this dog was dreadful?
No.
Because
my timing actually on acquiring was absolutely
no, it wasn't. Because 3 weeks later you abandoned the dog and went
true.
on holiday.
No, you see, once again, you're talking from a point of ignorance. You're going to make yourself sound like an idiot.
How soon
What happened was, right,
yes.
a bunch of puppies were born. A litter of puppies were born.
Right.
Now, when that happens, people go and choose a puppy.
Right.
Okay, now some of the puppies are kept back for one reason or another, because they may wish to breed them or they may wish to show them.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference between show dogs, as you probably know, and dogs which are not showed.
Yes.
Do you know that?
Yes, I know.
You do know that,
of course
right?
I
You know a lot about that, of course.
I do, yeah.
Right. So basically what we did was we went to choose the dog, and what they don't do in the responsible places where puppies are bred is they don't let you take the puppy until he or she is old enough to be separated from his mother.
Okay, and how old is that?
And it's usually about 7 or 8 weeks. It's usually about 8 weeks.
Before you rip it from its mother's
you can't,
chest.
No, you won't be able to sort of get any kind of sympathy vote on this one, because people who are out there listening who have dogs, I'm sure they'll be tweeting us. You can tweet us at the 2 Mikes, you can tweet us at IROMG and at Mike Parry 8. The whole point of what it is that is done is that they wait until the appropriate moment for the dog to be taken away from his mother. Now, in the intervening period,
poor mother,
we went away. We went away on holiday. You don't know what you're talking about.
So
you sound really like an idiot now.
So at 8 weeks,
and it's included as well as looking like one.
At 8 weeks, I just
so when the 8 weeks was up, we
yeah.
returned from holiday, picked up the dog, and he's been with us ever since.
Yeah,
aside from a couple of occasions when we've gone on holiday, and he's been put back to the place where he came from, which is what he likes to do.
Not all the time, though.
Almost every time, apart from one time.
No, you tried to do it on the cheap once, didn't you?
No, I didn't try to do it on the cheap once.
You tried to do it on the cheap. You took the dog to the parents of a fellow worker here at talkRADIO.
Because they offered to look after him.
And you said, I'm going to dump my dog on you for 2 weeks.
The reason was that they asked to have the dog because they had previously had a dog which is also related to my dog, okay, because they came from the same place.
Yeah, but it
and see, Labrador owners who all know each other and who understand each other would take no notice of an idiot like you talking nonsense about Labradors.
But it turned out that they weren't even strong enough to go and walk the dog.
Well, he's a very strong dog, and that's
very strong dog. So you left it with 2 people who couldn't walk the dog.
Not true.
So the dog didn't get exercise.
No, he didn't get exercise as much as he should have done. No.
Well, you see, so you're holding your hands up. This is sheer neglect, isn't it?
No, it isn't neglect at all.
I mean,
you're really grasping at straws here.
No.
You are completely and utterly grasping at straws.
To go away on holiday and leave the dog with people who aren't able to walk the dog, I think that's almost referable to the RSPCA, isn't it?
Well, why don't you try referring it to the RSPCA and see how far you get?
Well, I'm not that sort of venomous type person.
You're not?
I will accept that you made a mistake.
No, will you?
But it was a mistake born out of...
You really are an odious creature, aren't you? You are one of the most disgusting and depraved idiots that I've ever come across. And I will not put up with it.
It was a mistake born out of ignorance, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, we've got an expert coming on. We've got a pet behaviourist coming on, whose name is Elizabeth Kershaw.
Well, I'm going to be very interested talking to
you can talk to her. She might actually have more fun trying to analyse your tiny brain and trying to work out what sort of behaviour you are exhibiting
I
here.
don't know.
Because once again, all you're
very
proving
erratic,
is that you are completely and utterly obsessed with my life, obsessed with me.
No.
You wish you were me.
No.
Instead of which you have this lonely, secretive existence which nobody knows anything about.
Because I've identified the way you treat your dog. You're lashing out now with terrible insults
I am
against
lashing
me.
out, because you're annoying me.
Well, I'm annoying you because I'm afraid the truth hurts.
No, because you know nothing. You and the truth have never even been in the same railway carriage. This is Talk Radio. We are the Two Mics. There may well be a podcast out later. You'll notice I've changed the affirmative of that to a possibility rather than an absolute definitive thing.
What?
I'm sorry, am I troubling you?
No, not troubling me.
You do know we're doing the middle of a radio show.
Yeah.
Are you desperately looking for some kind of positive feedback?
No, not at all.
Because I'm afraid you might as well not bother.
Not at all.
Because there isn't any.
What are you warbling on about?
There is no tweet that has yet come in at the Two Mics, at Mike Parry 8, or indeed at IROMG, which is in any way supportive of anything you've said.
I'm not wasting my time on social networking,
Right,
conversations with people who clearly have, got it in for me because I tend to stand up for dogs.
Well, you stand up for
and the well-being of
you
dogs.
know nothing about. But anyway, we'll move on from that.
Indeed.
Because I think you can quite happily put it to bed and work out that you've actually lost that one in spades. But what I was saying earlier, when you weren't paying attention, was that I said there may well be a podcast coming out a little bit later on because there seems to be a bit of a problem with the podcast at the moment.
It didn't seem to come out last night.
It didn't. Well, the one the day before didn't come out until yesterday.
Until the show started.
And then it came out as Wednesday. So a lot of people were confused because they thought Wednesday's podcast was actually from Wednesday's show.
Yes.
When in fact it was from Tuesday's show. So Wednesday's podcast has yet to come out.
You do accept it's your responsibility, don't you?
No. Wednesday's podcast will be coming out probably sometime today.
Okay.
It may well be called Thursday's podcast, and then people will think it was today's.
Yes.
But it won't be.
No,
it will be yesterday's.
Wednesday's.
And today's probably won't come out until tomorrow. By which time it will be Friday, and so I'm just sort of
rather confusing.
I'm preparing people just in case they're a bit worried about what's going on.
Yes.
But what about that Rory McIlroy story? Right, he signs a 10-year deal with Nike to have them make his clubs. There was a big fuss about changing clubs and changing the ball that he was going to use. And they've now revealed that basically they're not going to do it anymore. So he's now going to have to go and find a new manufacturing sponsor and to get another set of clubs and get another ball and some more clothes so that he can continue to play professional golf.
I'm sure that doesn't worry him because I'm sure they're queuing up. But does he have to give the money back for the 10-year deal?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know.
I wouldn't
It's
have
a good
thought so
question.
either.
But no, the point is, though, it's not a question of whether it worries him. It worried him the last time because if you remember, when he changed from one set of clubs to another and he didn't play very well, everybody kept saying, is it because of the clubs, Rory?
It can be traumatic for a golfer, can't it?
And he kept saying no, and he's not exactly at the peak of his powers at the moment anyway.
Yeah, I think you'll find that what they do is what Callaway, I should say.
Galloway.
Not George Galloway.
George Galloway doesn't even play golf,
no,
to
he
my
doesn't
knowledge.
know. It's what Callaway did for me. They take you to their scientific research centre, which is down near Chessington World of Adventures, and they make
I've been down there.
Yeah, exactly. They make you swing a few clubs, right? And they take pictures of it. They've got 100 cameras taking pictures of it from every different angle.
Yeah.
And then they're all transmitted over to their production plant in Florida. And what they do is then they produce.
Who are we talking about now?
Callaway.
Oh, Callaway, right.
Golf clubs.
Okay.
And what they do then is they send you, after about 6 weeks...
Have you been through this experience?
I have been through this experience. They send you a set of golf clubs.
Why did you do it?
Sorry?
Why did you do it?
Because they invited me to.
All right.
Because, they see me as an influential person in the media world.
That's amazing, isn't it? Were you not shocked?
No, not at all.
Really?
No. And about 6 weeks later, the bag arrives in a big crate.
Yeah.
And then the clubs arrive in separate packages, each one of them, you know, and the drivers.
So you got the full set?
Full set.
Really?
And they've all been made and measured to your precise requirements, your height,
But that would cost
your
a
weight,
fortune. I mean,
your
most people
swing.
would just go and buy them in a shop.
Well, I didn't have to because they decided that I was
No,
a
I know
perfect
that.
example of somebody
But
who
you
could.
got them for free then?
Well, I mean, it was an arrangement with Callaway, wasn't it? And I've still got them, and they're brilliant.
Right.
And
I'm sure they are.
I wouldn't bother going and buying another set because why should I? These are made to measure for
How
me.
many times have you used them?
Well, I use them every time I play golf.
Yeah. How many times?
Well,
Did you count on one hand?
But golf is a leisure pursuit. We haven't had a lot of leisure time this year.
That's true.
You and I, which
Well, how long have you had the clubs?
Busy on the roads and all that. How long have I had the clubs?
Yeah.
A few years.
A few years,
yeah.
So how many times have you used them?
Well, I used them very, very regularly when I first got them because, of course, I was thrilled to have such an identifiable set of clubs. Some of them got my name on them.
Really?
Yes.
You've got monogrammed clubs.
Well, not monogrammed clubs, but the covers.
What does it say? Plank?
No. The covers have pictures of me on it. And,
Pictures of you?
And the emblem Porky.
Really?
Yes, the ones that go with the drivers. No, it's not. No,
Surely you
not.
couldn't turn up to a decent golf club with that.
Why not?
Because it's embarrassing.
No, it's not embarrassing
It's
to
like
me.
turning up in a sort of a stupid joke car. It's like turning up in the Red Bull car that you've got in the car park.
No, it's not.
So go, this is my new car.
It's not at all.
Pictures of you on the side.
Listen, I need to talk to you about superfoods, right?
Go on then.
Which aren't really superfoods.
Okay.
Would you go into a restaurant and say, with my dinner, I will have a glass of wheatgrass juice, please?
No, but I have seen places that sell it.
Wheatgrass?
Yeah, wheatgrass juice. It is supposed to be very good for you.
What about this one, then? Could you give me a little dish of baobab powder with my dinner, please?
Baobab?
Baobab.
No, I don't know what that is.
Well, it
What
says
is
it boosts energy and immunity. I don't know, it comes from the baobab plant, apparently, which is a bit like a sort of...
Is it a sort of oriental thing?
Yeah, it's like a coffee pod.
Oh, okay.
What about
what do you sprinkle the powder over stuff?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never had that.
What about a
I'll give it a try, though.
What about a goji berry?
Goji berry?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what that is.
The goji berry boosts immunity, peps up libido, and protects against heart disease and cancer.
Okay.
Don't know where it comes from, to be
I'm not
honest.
sure I need anything like that.
What about chia seeds, then?
Chia seeds?
Yeah, you sprinkle chia seeds over your food.
Are
They're
these not
packed
the
with
things
health and
that,
brain-boosting omega-3 fatty acids.
Are these not the things you used to see advertised late night on TV in America? There was a thing called a chia pet. Do you remember?
I don't know.
No, you would buy this thing and it was like a horse, or sometimes
What, a horse?
A horse or like a hedgehog, right?
It was a
But
brick you dragged around behind you, didn't you?
No,
On the streets of New
that
York.
was a stone. That was the pet stone. So this was the thing where you bought this
Yes.
sort of model of an animal,
Yeah.
right? But it had holes, little tiny holes in it, right?
Right.
And you watered it, and because it had some kind of seed inside, the thing would grow.
Yeah.
It would grow out, and it was called a chia pet. So it must have been chia seeds.
Okay. And then what did you do? Did you cut the grass and
Well, no, you just let it
eat
grow.
Just let it grow?
You just let it
What-
grow, and
What
there
was
it
the
was.
purpose of having something like that in your house?
Well, it was the kind of stuff, the rubbish they sold on late night TV that you would probably have bought if you'd seen it.
Unbelievable. So you know about this stuff, quinoa?
Quinoa.
No, quinoa.
It's not called quinoa.
It's supposed
you
to.
plank.
It's supposed. It's good.
It's pronounced quinoa.
It would be very good for you because it's apparently it helps with weight loss.
Does it?
And cuts down your high cholesterol count, which you've clearly got.
I don't have a
your
high
face
cholesterol
is all
count.
flaming
Listen,
and
there's
red.
only one of us who goes to
Yes.
see a specialist doctor because of a weight problem and because of a heart
No,
problem. And
no.
which one of us is it? Is it you or me?
No, I've got a weight
Is it
problem.
you?
Well, only 1/3 of my heart
Do you want me
works.
to have to retweet out the letter you got from Dr. Banner
Are you now?
from Harefield Hospital?
Are you now criticising me for the fact that I have a disability?
Yes.
Called
Self-inflicted.
dilated cardiomyopathy.
Yeah,
It wasn't,
self-inflicted.
no, it wasn't self-inflicted.
Wasn't it?
My father gave it to me. My father
Oh, he
died
gave
of
it
it
to
and
you?
then passed it on to me.
That was a bit
Well,
unfair.
actually, passed it on to me before he died, actually, but
Well-
but then died of it. So you
All right.
think that's funny, do you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Because
see.
I think the fact that
full
you...
of the milk of human
Yeah.
kindness today, aren't we?
Well, I mean, given the way you started the show, I think
Yes.
you're lucky you're still sitting here, frankly. And
Talking,
I've got my foot over your throat on
Well,
the
no,
corner.
you wouldn't do that. All these stupid idle boasts of violence and all that kind of stuff. You'll talk.
Really?
Anyway, talking about milk, something close to milk. What about coconut water?
Coconut
if you asked for
water?
a glass of coconut water and
No.
they couldn't give it you,
I'm not that keen on it. I quite like coconut milk.
I don't know where coconut water would come from because when
A
you open
coconut.
up when you open up a coconut, it's full of milk.
Well,
it's not full of water.
It actually looks more like water than it does milk.
Well, it says coconut water as opposed to coconut milk.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Do you eat kale?
Kale, not really. I've had it once or twice.
Yeah,
But it's not something I particularly like.
Well, I don't understand. Cabbage is very good. Cabbage is
Cabbage
great.
is nice.
I love spring.
I don't eat a lot of cabbage, though.
I love spring green cabbage,
Do you?
and I like spring greens.
What do you do with it?
Well, what do you think I'd do with it?
You boil it,
of
don't you?
course, yeah, and you put it on your plate, you idiot. Well,
You
what else
boil
can
it.
you do with it?
You can do loads of things with it.
Well, you say you can steam it. Steaming it is boiling it, you idiot.
No, it's not.
Just means you get a fancier pan
No,
with holes in
completely
the
different.
lid.
You could also take cabbage, as I used to eat it in a very nice Italian restaurant in New York,
yes.
in Irving Place, right? Where you just you literally fry the leaves in olive oil
Yeah.
with garlic, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
You're not listening to that, are you?
I'm listening. Yes, I'm
What did I
listening.
say?
You said it's fantastic. You
What?
went to this restaurant in New
Yeah.
York
And
and
what
they
did
put
they
it
do
all
with it?
together. They put it all
What did
together
they
for
do?
you.
What did they do with the
They put it all
cabbage?
together for you.
No,
Yeah, they did.
no, they fried
Yeah.
it
In garlic.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and what?
Well,
So
they
you weren't listening.
No, I wasn't listening.
You were not listening.
They frighten a bit of garlic and you eat it. So what? Anyway, listen, my counter research to this says that everyday food such as oranges, and I eat a lot of easy peel oranges, right? Because they're easy to peel.
Didn't you once say that you could peel an orange with one hand?
Yes, I can, yeah.
I'd like to see that done.
No, I didn't say I could peel
Yeah,
an
you
orange
did.
with one hand. No.
You did.
I said I could peel a big Jaffa orange, a
Yeah.
big one from Spain, without
Spain.
Yeah, with one. And I could take the skin off in one piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to see that done as well.
I've done it before. It's on record somewhere. I've done it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've done it. It's easy. Now, what I was going to say to you was, this is really good. It says that oranges are... I love those easy peel, don't you? Because the skin comes off so easily. And
I don't know.
And they've got no pips in them, so you can just eat 3 or 4 at a time,
Can
which is great, yeah. And also...
I'm not sure that's good for you.
No, it is. And also Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Okay? Brussels sprouts are just as good for you as any of these...
It's not really the season for Brussels sprouts.
These crazy new foods. Well, you get them in Morrison's, and they're pre-prepared.
Pre-prepared?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you buy them in a plastic bag.
Right.
No, a cellophane bag.
Uh-huh.
And all you do is open the bag.
They're already cut?
Yeah, they're already cut, yeah. And you just open the bag and put them in a pan
and then
full of boiling water.
Boil them?
Yeah, of course you do. Well, what else would you do with them, you idiot?
Well, there's all sorts of things you can do with sprouts. You don't just have to boil them.
Well, I don't know how...
You can saute them with a little bacon, which is very nice.
No, I want...
You can scatter
breadcrumbs.
breadcrumbs.
I don't want sprouts and bacon.
You can scatter breadcrumbs over them.
I don't want breadcrumbs over them.
And bake them in the oven.
No, I don't want them. Now, all this is...
You know nothing about food, really. In fact, you know less about food than you know about dogs.
No, that's not true. What it says is this new report, and by the way, it came from the University of Nottingham.
Did it?
Which is in the same city as the University of Trent that I went to.
Have you seen the time, by the way?
And it says that 2/3 of Britons now boast of buying superfoods. Yes, I heard you. Yeah. And are willing to pay, more for the privilege because they think that they're joining, I don't know, some new sort of healthy set. Blueberries are amongst them. I like blueberries.
Blueberries are nice.
But they're a bit tasteless. I find raspberries, strawberries, cherries, but I find blueberries are too small and tasteless.
Really?
Unless you have them with...
Maybe you've lost your sense of taste.
Unless you have them with a yoghurt. And then they're quite nice.
Well, that's very...
It's the only thing I can say.
Very good of you to share it with us.
Yes.
That's taken far too long, by the way. Hey, by the way, Porky, have you seen the interest rates gone down to a new low, 0.25%? You can buy another 10 slum mansions, couldn't you? And rent them out to people visiting from foreign parts.
Sorry, when you say another, I mean, I don't have any slum mansions. So,
well, how many do you have?
And I have no intention of buying any.
Well, how many slum mansions do you own?
I haven't got any slum mansions.
All right. How many well, let me make it easier for you. How many flats do you own?
Well, that's irrelevant.
Why?
Because it's part of a portfolio of mine, and total ownership in a portfolio is very difficult to define.
Matt, what, so other people own them as well, do they?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a portfolio, and other people are investors in the business, so I can't actually answer that question, even if I thought it was appropriate to do so.
More evidence of your secretive life. And the fact that you want to tell everybody about everything that I do,
but
you don't want to tell anybody about anything that you do.
No.
Now, luckily, we've got an expert on superfoods on now.
Excellent.
Ms. Monica Price, nutritional expert. She's going to be able to put you in your place about all the things that you just read out.
Yes.
Because she'll be able to explain to you what they are and why you should be eating them so that you don't die premature death. Very good afternoon to you, Monica.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you today?
Very well indeed. Thank you so much for joining us. I can only tell you...
Good afternoon to you both.
Yeah,
yes,
well,
indeed,
both
Monica.
Mike,
thank you very much indeed.
We couldn't actually be more different. I'm somebody who loves food. I'm always looking for new...
and lots of it, by the way.
New kinds of food. I love cooking food.
Yeah.
I love experimenting with different foods.
Your shirts are starting not to fit you, aren't they?
I love... What size do you wear?
Your shirts are starting not to fit you.
My shirt fits me fine.
You had a pink shirt on the other day, and you said, this shirt is starting to stretch across my stomach. Did you not?
I did say that.
And you put it down to drinking 30 pints of beer a week,
No, I didn't, no.
No, I think you did.
No, what I said
That's
was...
the sort of food he eats, Monica.
I said that as a result of mixing with you for the best part of the last 3 weeks, as we've been working together at different times, I have imbibed more beer than I would normally drink. Normally I wouldn't drink any. Yeah. But this is a man who's incapable of walking home to the station without stopping at 3 bars on the way. Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about the difference between us, as I was trying to. Monica, he doesn't like anything really which is, in his words, foreign.
Trendy.
He hates garlic, right? He won't touch anything with garlic in it. He doesn't really like vegetables. He thinks the only way he can cook anything is to boil it. And so that's that's the starting point, really. So if you could help him with some of the things like... Well,
let me just run through...
Like some of the things he's going to ask you about.
Yeah, a few things here, Monica, please, and then get your response to them. What is the benefit of eating something called wheatgrass?
Well, wheatgrass, again, to be honest, these things, as you've just said, I think you've both just said, you were talking about fads, fads are so popular in the UK at the moment, and then it's particularly if a celebrity jumps on the bandwagon, then we suddenly, like you were speaking about coconut water,
Yes.
and I'll talk to you about that. These fads just come in, and then for us, for just the normal consumers, we think, is this good for us? Should we be having this? But something like wheatgrass it's packed high in fibre. Again, it's considered one of the superfoods because it has such good antioxidant properties. So, and that's what we need. So, in other words, we need these sorts of foods because the idea of them being called superfoods is that they benefit our system, because our daily on-sort lifestyle is usually very rushed. We're all working, we're all very busy, and our bodies need maximum amount of really good, healthy foods that we can get. So, of course, I think the reason why they brand these as superfoods is that they're trying to really identify so that us as consumers can say, do you know what, perhaps if I eat that, I might feel a little bit better.
But they usually cost super prices. That's what gets me. You go to Waitrose to get them instead of going to Morrison's to get a bag of Sprouts, which have the same beneficial effect.
But do they, though? I mean, say, for example, what would be the difference? Instead of having boiled sprouts with your shepherd's pie, which he'd like to have, what if you had kale instead? How much better would that be for you?
Curly cow is very good. But do you know what? Both of those are really good for you, sprouts and curly cow. But it's the actual method of cooking. You really shouldn't be boiling any vegetables. You need to be steaming your vegetables.
Oh, you see?
And that is the best way.
Well, just 5 minutes ago, he said to me, well, there's no difference between boiling and steaming.
Well, I don't see the difference. What's the difference?
No, but you won't see the difference, but you'll taste the difference, because what happens is all the nutrients that are naturally in whatever it is you're cooking, whatever vegetable you're cooking, if it happens to be curly cow or sprouts, you'll get the maximum amount of nutrients will stay in the actual food that you're going to eat. Whereas if you boil something, of course, all those nutrients will then go into the water. Now, if you use your water to make your gravy when you have your nice shepherd's pie or Sunday roast,
yes, I do that.
then that's fine.
No,
that's good.
Rubbish.
That's the best way. But I think we need to do is look at what they're calling the superfoods and the fact that, why they're calling them that, and are they any benefit to us? Well, I can tell you from a nutritionist point of view, they are very beneficial. Things like blueberries, for instance. Now, those, I think, were one of the first foods that they said, this is a superfood.
Oh, I love blueberries.
Porky says he doesn't. No, you said you didn't like them. Don't taste them anything.
Do we like blueberries? Do we both like blueberries?
I love blueberries.
No. Yeah, I like them with yoghurt.
I put them in my oatmeal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. And blueberries are one of those ones that are very easy to eat. They're great for kids. They're great for adults. They're packed full of powerful antioxidants.
Now, they've got no stones either.
No stones. You can just eat them. And the reason why we need these, what we call antioxidants, because we've got loads of free radicals that just roam around our body.
Free radicals?
You thought that was the name of a band.
Radicals.
Yeah.
It's a good name for a band, and it is a band.
Yeah.
But the free radicals roam around our bodies every day. And what they do, they have the potential then to damage what we call our cell membranes and our DNA. And ultimately, they cause many of the degenerative diseases as we age. So as we age, our body obviously can't cope with certain things that we perhaps could do when we're in our 20s. So we need to make sure that we're eating foods that benefit our bodies, and blueberries is certainly one of those.
You see, in Porky's case, Monica, only one half of his heart works.
Yes.
Or actually, to be precise, 49%. I'm not joking.
Well, 1/3 of it, actually.
He was on the old transplant list a few years ago, but miraculously, he somehow managed to recover
from
a
medical miracle.
From needing a new heart. So I've always accused him of being slightly, pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. But he's not a very well man. And so
he should be eating blueberries, because that is a massive fighter of the diseases.
Yeah.
It's a powerful antioxidant. So all your free radicals will roam around your body.
Yes.
And then your antioxidants that you eat actually fight your free radicals. So in other words, the prevention of many diseases and many things like
I very much
things like that.
I very much appreciate that advice. Can you tell us about one that we're both mystified about?
What's this one?
It's
that powder stuff, right?
Baobab powder.
Oh, the baobab powder, yes.
Yeah. Well,
he's supposed to snort it.
I can tell you, Monica, it's a mystery to us. It looks like something you grind up and put in, nefarious substances.
Yeah. Now, that's really good. People put that on their cereals. It's a bit like you can put flaxseed powder. That's powdered as well. And anything in a powder form is really to be added to something like a cereal, or you can add it to soups and casseroles. And
see, you know what that reminds me of, Monica? I don't know if you heard this when you were...
disappear.
I don't know when you were a child, Porky, but my mother used to sprinkle wheat germ on stuff that I ate, which just tasted like sawdust. It was horrible.
Well, it's bran. My parents used to call it bran, and it was like
bran.
sawdust.
It was like sawdust, and it made everything taste like sawdust.
I think now we can actually add it to our foods. And I think that's what we need to do. We can put these in our foods, and we can disguise them. And you were talking about the goji berry earlier, and that's, of course, another really good thing. They're kind of they're quite nutty in flavour, but they're the fruit of the Lycium barbarium, which is a Chinese fruit.
Oh yeah,
and they're really, really good for you.
Can you cook with them then?
Yeah, you can put them in.
What would you put them in?
Add them to salads. You could put them in casseroles or stews or anything like that. But but to be honest, the best way to eat them is just from the packet, and they taste a bit licoricey. So if you like licorice, they're a good one.
What about chia seeds, Monica? Because I always thought chia seeds were like what sort of the Hare Krishna mob sort of threw over each other,
Again, any seed is really, really good for you. So any seed at all. So we've got flaxseed, the chia seed, any seed at all really is what is part of your healthy diet. Yeah. I would say there's one thing that I say to anybody that comes to me, and I would say just have a handful of nuts and seeds every day to your diet.
Really?
So that's very easy to do. You could have that.
So you could do that. Yeah, but eat them on the train.
Yeah, but hang on. On the chia seeds one, it says here, good, but salmon is better. Now, I'd much rather have a smoked salmon butty every day.
Well, you could have a wild salmon butty, and that would be absolutely brilliant. But what it's saying, I think, and that's where you have to because I'm a nutritionist that eats, and I'm a nutritionist that is realistic, because I work with families, that have got low income, families that, perhaps don't shop at where you can get all these wonderful things and probably never heard of them. So you need to be realistic. Look at what your budget is.
I mean, I assume you can't get much of this stuff in Iceland, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's putting Iceland down, isn't it? Millions of customers go to Iceland, and you're putting them down.
Yeah.
That's true, though, isn't it?
Lots of these foods that come from specialist stores, but I have to say big supermarkets are now stocking them up again, because we as consumers are demanding them. We want to experiment, and we're a bit bad at that in the UK, Mike, to be honest. We don't experiment with food. We tend to go shopping. If I was to go shopping with probably both of you, you would probably put the same things in your supermarket trolley every
Absolutely
week.
not.
Right?
No, you couldn't be more wrong, Monica. You could not be more wrong. See, I cook everything myself, okay? I'll be quite happy.
I do.
Don't. You do not cook at all.
I do.
You eat takeaway food, or you buy, frozen fish fingers. And I mean, this is a man who prides himself on building a fish finger pyramid, right? And having frozen peas.
Hang on, Monica. I only ever eat fish fingers which have on the label omega-3 included.
Oh, but you see, you have to look at the quality of the fish fingers. So, for instance, if you are eating fish fingers, and now this is something you might want to look at, and again, your listeners will be interested in. Whenever you get something like that, like a fish product, if it says 100% cod fillet, okay, what you need to do is turn that packaging over, because often it's not 100%. If you actually read it,
so how can they get away with saying it then?
Well, exactly, because what happens is, you might on the back of the packet, it might say 73% of this is cod, and the rest of it is breadcrumbs and things. But it's very clever, of the fish that they put in that 73%, it is 100% cod fillet.
Yes, exactly.
So does that make sense? So what they're saying is the consumers are often blinded by that. They'll say, it's 100% this and 100%
Yeah, well, obviously
this. You have to turn the label over and just make sure that it is.
So whereas if you were walking around the supermarket with me, right, you would see me putting in some peppers, probably, some fresh chilies, some fresh coriander, some parsley to make a paella with, perhaps. I'd get some serrano ham on a regular basis.
But I don't like that sort of food.
No, you don't like anything foreign.
So that doesn't make me a bad person.
Like?
I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm saying you don't eat very well.
Have you ever had a glass of coconut water with your dinner, Monica?
Yeah, I have not. I have had coconut water. Now, coconut water, again, is the latest fad. It's one of those fads that come from Hollywood.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about it. Lots of celebrities are drinking it. And the reason why, it's low in fat. It's called zero fat, cholesterol-free. And wow, you get it. And it's quite a sweet, nutty taste, of course, coming from the coconut. But what it is, it's not to be confused with the milk. It's the clear liquid that forms inside the very young green coconuts.
Oh, I see.
So they take the young green coconut.
Young green coconut? I've never seen a green coconut myself.
Have you never seen them growing in the Caribbean?
Yeah, but they usually fall on your head. They're brown, aren't they?
But obviously they start when they start growing. They're actually green before they go brown,
I see.
and then so they take the young green coconut, and it's actually the liquid inside. It's a very clear liquid, hence the name water. Whereas the coconut water is completely different. Sorry, the coconut cream or the coconut milk, as it's called, is completely different. But again, it's a brand new fad, and the manufacturers are very quick to jump on these fads and produce, lots of different varieties for us to drink. And it's very good for you. There's no doubt about it. It's very good for you, but it's not something that perhaps...
Bottom line is, right, Monica, you should experiment occasionally with some of these healthier foods. And because
I do, and I don't like them.
No, but you're trapped in the 1970s, and you eat like somebody who's trapped in the 1970s. He would have a Vesta curry if he could still get his hands on one.
Yeah, well, that means anybody...
Whereas I like to make my own.
Well, excuse me, does that mean anybody then who likes a fillet steak is trapped in the 1880s?
The 1880s?
When we first started eating fillet steak.
The steakhouses in the 1880s, were
Yeah, that's right. That's where they opened up, in the pre-Victorian period.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What was the name of the chain? Was that a Gaucho chain?
No, it wasn't the Gaucho chain at all.
I didn't know they were that old.
Smolensky's was 1880s.
Smolensky's.
We've both been there and had steaks. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, nothing wrong with steaks, high in protein, of course.
Exactly.
But, it's salads. Now, do both of you have salads every day? Because that's something you should
salads?
be eating every
I can't
day.
stand.
He doesn't eat salads.
No, I do eat salads, but I have a salad, Monica.
Tell her about your beetroot salad.
Well, I'm going to.
This is brilliant.
I have a
You'll love
salad,
this.
but I don't like lettuce, so I don't put any lettuce in my salad. So what I have is I have corned beef with beetroot. Sliced beetroot with...
Yeah, that's very good for you, beetroot.
Yeah, red cabbage.
Yeah, don't forget the potatoes.
Boiled potatoes, right? Mm-hmm. And spring onions. And
that's it.
And that's it, yeah.
That's it. That's a beetroot salad.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's a corned beef salad.
Oh, sorry, it's a corned beef salad.
Yes. Well, that's good, isn't
it? What do you make of that?
Oh, well, it's not exactly what you call a salad, but, I mean, there's some healthy elements in that salad, Mike. I have to say beetroot is really good for you. I mean, that's been shown more recently in studies for cancer, saying that it's very good to stop, to benefit for people who are going through cancer or surviving cancer. So that's a really good one. But what you need to do is trying to eat some leaves. So when you say you don't like lettuce, what about spinach or rocket or watercress?
I tell you what,
I
get a bag of spinach, right, from Tesco's. Yeah. And I get two, actually.
You see the time?
No, hang on. By the time you've boiled...
It's turned into sort of Porky's kitchen corner.
Hang on. By the time you've boiled up what's in a bag of spinach, it ends up as nothing. It ends up as the size of a 50-pence piece.
No, but you don't need to cook it. I want you to eat it
raw.
It's horrible raw.
Spinach salad is amazing.
I might as well go into my... Go
on, sorry.
I might as well go into my garden and just pick a few leaves off the privet hedge.
You haven't got a garden.
That's what it tastes like.
He hasn't got a garden. Monica, listen.
I made you a lovely spinach. You can actually buy a spinach, rocket and watercress salad. You can actually... Now, that's a lovely salad.
Rocket.
It's really lovely. Watercress is really hot, peppery. It's really lovely. And if you have that with avocado, and you can put some beetroot into that.
Yeah, sounds nice.
He only likes avocado and prawns.
Yeah, I do, actually, yeah.
Well, you
from the 70s.
Well.
Monica, we've got to let you go. Have you not seen the time, Monica, for heaven's sake? We're supposed to be doing the news now.
Monica,
thank you
so much. Thank you so much.
We can talk to you all day, but sadly we're out of time. Porky, I'm afraid I've never heard you talking so much nonsense in this first hour of this show in a very, very long time.
Dear. How long do I have to put up with this?
Good afternoon. We are the two Mikes. I'm Mike Graham. I'm Mike. He's Mike Parry. I think you're Mike Parry, aren't you?
Indeed.
Yeah, I got a bit diverted out there, funnily enough, just outside. I got a terrible story to tell you actually about this morning.
What's that?
When I dropped the dog off.
Yes.
I got diverted on the
you
road.
mean like roadworks or diverted because something caught your attention?
No, diverted by roadworks.
Right,
I got to within. I drove for about 2.5 hours, right, all the way from Sussex, all the way around the M25, onto the M40. Came off at sort of Ruislip area, Uxbridge around there, and got within about 10 minutes of the road where the place that I was going was in, and there was a sign that said road ahead closed. And you see those from time to time in London.
Indeed.
It's not a big deal because you know how to get around it.
Yes.
Up here, I didn't know how to get around it, and it said access only. So I thought, well, I'll just keep driving and see whether I can get as far as the house before the road's closed.
Because obviously they close roads when it's unnecessarily inconvenient, but not practical.
Exactly right. I've just been told we've got to talk to somebody else here. So this is a long story, which I shall have to...
tell me later. It sounds pretty boring anyway, so...
Well, it's not boring, actually.
okay.
I think you'd be very, very interested
Oh,
in it.
excellent. Good.
Because who are we going to talk to now? Who are we talking to?
We're talking to another guest on the show.
Yeah, I know that, but who is it?
we want to. Who is it? Who is it?
Yeah.
I think could it be our pal Dave?
Oh, it could be.
Dave owns
Bars.
bars.
Dave, are you there?
I'm there, Mike. How are you both?
Very well
indeed, Dave. Good to have you on the show, pal. And you're the man I need to talk to because I'm reading a report today saying that in public houses, of which you run a chain of very successfully, fish and chips is moving down the menu, and people want to eat things like baked potatoes and things like kale and quinoa and all this kind of stuff. Quinoa. What do you think?
Oh, stay with fish and chips. Our fish and chip sales have never been healthier, Mike. We don't do baked potatoes. Salads, we don't do too many salads. We're sport, we're burgers, we're steaks, but we're fish and chips, especially on a Friday.
Yeah.
And you've got to have mushy peas with them as well, Mike.
Oh, indeed.
We're reading reports here, Dave, that say 1 in 4 restaurants, pubs and hotels have actually ditched them because people are asking for a bigger range of salads.
Well, there's 2 points here. One, I think the fish prices have gone up. And that will, if you think about it, you buy a piece of fish for £2.50 and then sell it on, you buy a lettuce for 30p. And a couple of tomatoes and a bit of cucumber, and you stick some superfood on it, you can charge the same price. So there's a commerciality to it. And also, you've got to do it properly as well. It's got to be fresh fish. It's got to be wet fish. And a lot of these pub chains buy frozen products in from well-known brands, and it's not the same product. So, yeah, if you're going to sell an inferior product, people are going to walk.
Yeah.
If you sell a superior product...
What's going to happen, by the way? I mean, I know this is probably a long way down the road because Brexit has happened and hasn't happened, if you know what I mean. You know, nobody seems to think that anything's actually going to change. But presumably, the fishing habits of various different fishing fleets are going to change if we leave the European Union. And, the Spanish fishermen...
We're getting more waters back. I think the French took a load of waters off us.
Exactly.
They've taken many things off us.
Yeah.
And they've given us back wine. So I guess we've got some small comfort to give something to praise them for. But no, I think the fishing rights will change. We'll have more fish. It'll become more affordable. It's certainly sustainable. It's a healthier product. It's, in the fields, you've got pesticides. You've got all those things, growth hormones. Fish are natural.
Yeah.
You catch them on a hook in Grimsby. You put them in ice. You take them down to London, you batter it in fresh batter with a bit of beer in it, and you sell it with loads of salt and vinegar and mushy peas. Buy fish and chips, everyone.
Oh, I would. I can't think of a better meal that I could regularly say to myself. That would be the last one I had before I was hanged.
Well, you are one of the few people that's ever admitted to having 2 courses of fish and chips in the same day.
Yeah, I will. Sometime I go to one of your places, Dave. I'm watching the football all afternoon. I'll have fish and chips for lunch and fish and chips for tea. And there's nothing wrong with it. Now, Dave...
cod for lunch and scampi for tea, Mike.
Well, of course I could. Now, listen, pal, I remember...
And a drop of wine in between as well, if you go
just a drop. You remember, we believe in bladderation in moderation on this show, Dave. Dave, I was going to say, when you opened your establishment in Victoria, I remember saying to you, why do you have the word fish and chips on the side of your establishment 30 times? And you said the Americans love it. Is that right?
Americans love it, Europeans love it, and we love it as well. People need to be told. Sometimes you've got to state the obvious. There's good fish and chips to be had, not just in a traditional fish and chip shop, but in good restaurants. There are restaurants that sell fish and chips well, but unfortunately there are others that buy a pre-breaded thing like you will get in a mainstream supermarket, which is not the same. It's thick-coated in batter, and it doesn't fry particularly well. Fresh fish in a fryer, hot oil, crispy batter, wedge of lemon, done. Easy.
So
and a couple of pints.
Before you take a chef on, Dave, do you have to be assured that he has the art of making fish and chips to your required standards?
There's a knack to it, how you put the fish in, how you batter it, what batter you use, whether you flour it or not, and you've got it's fresh fish. Our fish is every single day is delivered in freshly to us.
Yeah.
And if we run out, we run out. That's why we have cod and we have had it.
Okay, well that's great. And your chain of pubs, Dave, the Sports Bar and Grill. I hope you don't mind me revealing that.
Not at all.
Is it by a mile the biggest dish you serve on a weekly basis?
On a Friday, it outsells all the meat dishes. It outsells chicken. It outsells the sausage and mash. It outsells our pies. It outsells everything. And if we could put them in newspaper, and if the law and health and hygiene
can't do that, can you?
You can't do that anymore, Mike.
I don't hear too many vegan offerings on your menu so far, Dave.
Vegans?
Sorry?
What are vegans?
Well, there's a lot of places have now got vegetarian menus. A lot of places have now catering for vegans.
You can't get vegetarian fish.
No, you can't.
We do cater for our vegetarian friends, but Mike, fish is a staple part of a balanced diet.
Exactly.
Don't think anything different. And if people are saying to you it makes you fat, right, do a bit more exercise, eat more fish and chips.
That's right. Now, Dave, you're looking forward to the new football season because that'll boost fish and chip sales, won't it? When there's no football on, you're beached, aren't you?
No, we've done quite well this summer. We had the football on this summer. We've got cricket on at the moment. We've had some great golf, the two majors back to back because of the Olympics. So no, fish and chip sells. It will always sell if it's done properly. And do something well, like your show, Mike. People listen and people will sample
absolutely,
it.
Absolutely.
Do it badly, they'll go away.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Yeah, listen, Dave, we'll see you soon. Thank you very much
Dave,
indeed.
thanks very much.
Dave owns bars there. By the way, speaking of the Olympics, which is on the way practically in a few hours' time.
No, I think it started last night. Wasn't there a women's football game last night?
Yeah, there was. But I mean, technically speaking, they've got the opening ceremony on Friday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Andy Murray will be flying the flag.
Yeah, well,
very proud
maybe.
Man.
But you see all the people chucking water over the Olympic flame.
No, I didn't know. What was that?
There was a massive demonstration yesterday. All these people who think that it's a terrible thing to have the Olympics
Because
right
of the
after
cost,
the World Cup because of the cost.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of mob that we're not very happy about the World Cup.
Yes.
So they were all trying to put the Olympic flame out, dousing it with water.
It's not good, is it?
It's not really the Olympic spirit, is it?
It's not the Olympic spirit at all.
It's not great.
I have to say, you know, I read something by my hero, Sir Steve Redgrave, this morning.
He's not your hero.
Well, and he's not actually. No, he's an anti-hero.
And in fact, you're not his hero either.
And he's sponsoring some sporting foundation or something with the Olympics. Did you know that in addition to him acquiring 5 gold medals in the rowing teams, like 4s or 2s, I think it was mostly 4s, wasn't it?
4s and 2s, I think.
Was it 4s and 2s? Yeah. At the Commonwealth Games in 19-something or other, maybe 86.
The ones in Manchester, maybe?
No, they weren't. They were abroad somewhere, something like Gothenburg or something, right? He won a gold medal in the single sculls.
Right.
He said, I wasn't very good and I wasn't very fast, but I only got as far as a gold medal in the Commonwealth Games. Yeah. Nevertheless, he was going to go on and try and do it in the Olympics, and they banned it. They banned single sculls.
Did they?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Well, I don't know.
Why would you do that?
Same reason you put golf in it.
I thought single sculls was like a staple, part of any international sporting tournament.
I think they prefer the team rowing.
The team rowing, maybe,
I think that's what they prefer. Anyway, coming up, we're going to be talking about security because, of course, yesterday it was announced by the Metropolitan Police that they're going to have more armed police on the streets of London.
And now we've got RoboCops.
Well, we shall see. I've not actually seen any of them. I was driving around London quite a lot today. Didn't see any of them. But
You've seen the pictures of them, haven't you?
Well, I've seen the pictures. It's not the same. Yeah. I'm talking to Chris Hobbs, who's a former Metropolitan Police officer himself. We'll find out whether he thinks it's a good thing or a bad thing. This is Talk Radio. This is Talk Radio. We are the two mics. As I said earlier, there will hopefully be a podcast out shortly of yesterday's show, and then later on, maybe tonight, there'll be one of today's show. But it's a bit difficult to pin it down at the moment. I'll continue my story of my diverted car from this morning a little bit later on.
I'll leave that till after 4 o'clock.
It's quite fascinating.
Oh, okay.
It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, right, okay. We'll talk about it later,
We'll talk about it later. I know you don't like talking about anything that doesn't involve you. But because we're about to do that again. We're going to talk to Chris Hobbs, retired Metropolitan Police officer, because he's a security expert now, and we're going to work out whether having these sort of RoboCops on the streets of London are going to deter anybody from doing what are some of the terrible things we've seen happening in France.
Indeed.
Chris, very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. I don't know when you were a Met Police officer, Chris, but I guess you'd probably have to concede that things are a little different now than they used to be.
Well, funnily enough, this morning I'm down on the south coast at the moment, and I had coffee with a friend of mine who is a former firearms officer in the Met.
Oh, right.
And you would not, well, I didn't quite believe it, but the RoboCops on motorcycles that are featured in most of the newspapers and on TV have been in existence for years.
But
post Mumbai, they were set up. They've practiced for years, tactics and so on and so forth. They're nothing new. I think they're being trotted out to say, right, this is what we've got, to reassure people and to say to the terrorists, well, if you try it in London, this is what you're going to be up against.
Is it the case that they're now being put more on show, though? Because they might have always been there kind of ready to act if necessary, but not actually patrolling the streets?
Not yet, no. It remains to be seen whether we'll see. Perhaps we will see them riding around the streets, but their availability has always been there to deal with certain sorts of situations that they're trained to deal with, and trained extremely well by all accounts.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they are. But Chris, you see, my issue is this: that it's all very well for Sir Bernard Hogan now to put these guys up and say, "Look, we're safe," but in fact, we're not, because if these chaps were patrolling, for instance, around the Bloomsbury Square area today because of that very tragic and unfortunate unfortunate incident last night in which a woman tourist has died, but now it's been put down to a Norwegian chap, allegedly, who has mental health issues. Now, that's all very well, but if somebody who's got a bomb strapped to them walks into Bluewater, the shopping centre, on the other side of town, way out on the other side of town, he's not going to be deterred by these people. A, he doesn't fear death anyway, and B, how do you track them? Isn't surely the way that we can beat these terrorists, if any way at all, is high intelligence operations, low-key, undercover, get people into the sort of communities where terrorism breeds itself and fight it that way?
I think you've got to fight the war on both fronts, because at the end of the day, if you've got someone like we saw yesterday who was taken down, I suspect, and I don't know this for a fact, by local police, armed with tasers, but they were there very quickly, and it's all about limiting the damage. Now, if you've got someone walking into Bluewater, yes, and he sets off a suicide bomb, well, you are a bit stuffed. But on the other hand, if you've got multiple attacks, they're now obviously trained to deal with suicide bombers as best they can. It could be one at the airport, for example, where they will be trained to deal with it. It's about limiting the damage. Now, I'm here on the south coast, and I'm not going to say where, but to my friend, we were chatting and said, well, if it happened here, where would we be? If you've got someone driving a car or a truck or someone coming down the high street with an AK-47, and we said, well, we will be in trouble. At best, you might have had 2 or 3 road policing units, so they double up as traffic cops and they've got guns in the boot. They would have to kit up, get down here, and possibly would be outgunned or unable to stop something like a leased truck anyway. So I think pretty much, again, what I was told this morning, pretty much in London, we're getting to the stage where we're probably about as good as we can be. And it's about limiting the damage. If you look in the rest of the country, where I am now, outside the big cities, if they decide to strike there, then there will be a real problem.
Is it fair to say that at the moment, say, for example, in mainland Europe, it's easier to obtain sort of illegal guns and particularly high-caliber sort of machine guns because they can come in from the Balkans and for, there's a lot more free movement of just cars for want of anything else. We may be wrong to think this, but one of the reasons why we haven't maybe seen the sorts of attacks we've seen in Paris, in London, is because it's not so easy to get those kind of guns.
I think that's partly, that has something to do with it. But there are still such weapons out there to be had. There was a seizure a few weeks ago by the National Crime Agency, who swooped on people importing a number of those sort of weapons we don't want to see here. But at the same time, to sort of cross subjects a little bit, we've got a serious issue, as was spoken about yesterday, with the UK Border Force and customs, the customs duties that they now do. And customs or former customs officers are saying to me, well, all they're worried about are queues and passports, and they're worried about, the frontline Border Force officers, about exactly that. They're worried about drugs getting in, and they're worried about weapons or component parts of weapons getting in, because the customs side has been relaxed because the priority is passports. So it could be that we're stacking up trouble for ourselves. I think that's part of the reason, but there is also a major crossover, because I've researched it when I was in the job, between criminals and potential terrorists. In other words, criminals that have converted to the extreme form of Islam in prison, a number of them.
Or who are supplying weapons to terrorists.
Well, exactly. Armourers you've got out there. And certainly the case with Jermaine Baker, I mean, that turned out to be an imitation Uzi that was in fact a BB gun, as I understand it, but he got shot dead. So there are sorts of issues. We are protected by the channel, aren't we? At the end of the day, that's a huge advantage. The danger at the moment is that we're sort of starting to fritter it away and then now trying to play catch-up in terms of boats, Border Force boats, and in terms of armed police.
And in terms of armed police, Chris, I mean, you probably still talk to plenty of people who are still in the Met. Is there still a kind of reticence, if you like, or a sort of an unwillingness, if you want, to get involved with shooting situations as a police officer? Because, inevitably there's some kind of inquest, inevitably whether it turns out to be the right thing or not.
Suspended.
The individual officers really go through the mill, don't they?
I think if there is a conviction of a police officer, Mark Duggan hasn't finished yet, that situation, and now we've got Jermaine Baker. If we get a situation where a police officer is actually successfully prosecuted, then I think there's a real problem. And already as the Met are able to recruit extra officers, but apparently a lot of other forces are struggling because people are frightened of a firefight, but people are frightened of making a decision that could result in them being charged with murder, and the officer who shot Jermaine Baker is actually on bail for murder. Now, that hasn't gone down well with his armed colleagues.
Of course not.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because, in the end, you're training somebody to shoot when necessary, and then if
who decides when it's necessary?
Well, it's a split-second decision, isn't it, many times?
Well, that's right, because if you look at the guy who was tasered last night, now let's say, and again, this scenario is being put to me by my friend this morning who's extremely experienced. But if, say, you had someone on a stabbing rampage, the armed police had turned up and got there first, and even if he was running away, if he still had the knife and people were in danger of being stabbed, those officers, by their own rules of engagement, would have been quite entitled to shoot him in the back. Now, you can imagine the outcry there will be, the second guessers, the keyboard warriors, if he'd have got shot in the back, because everyone would have said, he shot him in the back. That's absolutely disgraceful. The fact is they shot him in the back because they would say he potentially is still a threat. But you would have had an IPCC investigation, you would have had the activists screaming, and they may still, be critical, but probably not because he was tasered. But of course, the ones who criticise the use of taser have been remarkably quiet today. But you've got all these issues, and personally, I must admit, being an armed officer is to a certain extent a bit of a poison chalice, as is being one of the very senior officers who, if there was an operation, they would take charge. And there are concerns that amongst the rank and file armed officers, that the senior officers themselves will hesitate to give the sort of the go.
Indeed.
In certain situations, because of the consequences,
Indeed.
the officers have to open fire.
That's it.
Chris, I appreciate your time. Thanks you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris.
I'm sure we'll be talking again in the near future because obviously it's going to become a massive issue, not just in London but in other cities around the country. This is Talk Radio. We are the Two Mics, and it's listography, I should say. So what you need to do is give us a few ideas if you wish. Otherwise, we'll just do something on our travels, probably, because we're.
Well, what about 3 favourite foods?
We've done too much on food already. Why are you so obsessed with food?
Because you
spent nearly the whole hour on food.
You have such a dim view of proper food, because you think you're an elitist.
That's not true.
Listen, that guy who just had on, the great security expert, Chris Hobbs, right?
Chris Hobbs, yes.
Now, the last point he made about, senior officers sometimes unwilling to give the command to shoot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What happens there is, I saw this in the Sweeney, right, and it's brilliant.
What?
So the guy...
You saw it in the Sweeney?
I saw it in the Sweeney. I'm going to
tell you. Sweeney, which of course is a formerly sort of fictional television drama. Yeah, it's not real life. Dennis Waterman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dennis Waterman and Jack Regan.
Well, that wasn't his real name, was it?
No, it wasn't his real name. No, his real name was...
Are you having trouble again with the reality and
No.
The fiction
Because he played Kavanagh QC as well, right? The same guy.
John Thur, is his
John
name?
Thur. John Thur was the guy, yeah. Married to a woman who's still alive, actually, who's a very distinguished actress. But anyway...
She used to live in my village.
Did she?
Yeah.
What, like Hampstead or something?
No, in Wiltshire.
In Wiltshire?
Yeah.
Really? Can you remember her name?
I can, but I'm not going to give it to you just now.
Why not?
Because I want you to get on with your story.
Okay, anyway, so the point is, a lot of it was based on, real life events, okay?
Well, it wasn't actually.
Well, it was based on real life experience.
They were meant to be the flying squad.
They were flying squad, Sweeney Todd and all that, based at the Met HQ, Scotland Yard, the factory and all that kind of stuff, Get your trousers on, son, you've been nicked.
Were they actually based at Scotland Yard in the Sweeney?
Yes, they were.
Yes,
they were. Definitely.
Okay.
You used to see the sign outside, the Scotland Yard sign, the triangular one.
Yeah, but I thought they had a special office somewhere else.
No, and yet, funny enough, when they made the film recently with Ray Winstone, the Sweeney film, they're in a totally different location.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
I wondered if you, because I used to watch that show.
Yeah.
And it's still on now. In fact, it reruns
is,
all the time.
yeah.
And I'm sure, I'm almost certain that there's a sort of a point at which they seem to be operating outside of Scotland Yard, somewhere in central London, but not quite exactly there.
I've always believed it to be located at the Scotland Yard HQ.
Yeah.
You and I know so well on Victoria Street.
Yes.
Near Victoria Station. But anyway, what I'm saying is that these cops, before they fire, sometimes have to seek permission from their superiors. So what happens is Jack Regan and his skipper, what was his name? Dennis Waterman.
Dennis Waterman. No, that was his real name.
Yeah, that was his real name.
Yeah.
And he was known as George.
He was Carter, wasn't he?
George Carter, yeah. So they get called to this bank. And what's happened is these two guys have gone into the bank. They've tried to rob it. They've got everybody on the floor.
Yeah.
Give me the money. But then the alarm has gone off, and all of a sudden they're surrounded by cops. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, amongst the cops they're surrounded by are sharpshooters, and they didn't look anything like Robo-cops in those days. They literally looked like a bloke who was just come out of a field shooting pigeons or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just had a
in
rifle.
those days they didn't even have a bulletproof vest.
No, didn't have bulletproof vest or anything. Didn't have a helmet.
Did you ever wear one of those?
What?
Bulletproof vest?
No, never. No.
Why not?
Done it. Never needed one.
You never needed one?
No.
So you've never actually been in a war zone then?
Well, yeah, when the Americans bombed me in Libya and destroyed the hotel I was in, a bulletproof vest wouldn't have actually protected me from the Sidewinder missile that hit the hotel. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't have had to protect you since it didn't come anywhere near you.
It did. It demolished the building I was in. But anyway,
why
that's
did you not
story.
suffer from some kind of ear problem if it was so close?
I've no idea. Maybe I've got really strong eardrums or something like that.
Probably.
But I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
The sound was absolutely deafening. You're absolutely right. And there was a lot of smoke and darkness and dust and the smell of cordite and all that around. Cordite's the stuff they put in bombs. Yeah,
I know what cordite is.
Anyway, the point of the story is...
Yeah, what is the point of the story?
So these two sharpshooters turn up, and there are two villains inside. So anyway, Jack Regan is saying, as soon as we've got them both lined up, take them out, But the senior officer, whose name was... He was a bald-headed fella.
He was,
He used to drive around in a Jaguar.
That's him.
And Jack used to drive around in a Ford Zephyr, right?
Ford Granada, surely.
Ford Granada, yeah, that's right, yeah. And so anyway, his boss... said, come on, sir, give the order, take him out. And each sharpshooter is looking through their lens, their crosshairs, and saying, I've got him, sir, I've got him. He's in my sights, sir, he's in my sights. And Jack Regan is saying, tell him to shoot, tell him to fire, tell him to fire. Anyway, this Gareth Morgan or something was the name of the actor, wasn't it?
Gareth Morgan.
Was it something like that?
Not sure.
Garth Morgan, something.
I'll find out for you.
Yeah. Anyway, he hesitates, and then one of the sharpshooters says, no, haven't got him. So they can't fire them because the fear is if they kill one of them, right, but not the other who's also got a gun will then blow away all the hostages.
Well,
you know
it's
what
a
I mean?
very difficult job and a very difficult call,
difficult
isn't it?
job. Anyway.
But I'm not sure we should be basing our security in this country around your remembrances of the Sweeney.
You
can't even remember the guy who gave the order.
Listen. This is for Chris Hobbs, the expert who's been on the show just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, what happens then is they then eventually force their way out.
Garfield Morgan?
Garfield Morgan. Yeah, is that him?
What did you say, Gareth Morgan?
No, Garth. I said Garth Morgan. That's Garth is short for Garfield.
Okay.
Right, so...
Like Gareth Flitcroft.
And what's the name of the character he played?
The character he played, I'm not sure. I'll find out for you.
Okay. But anyway, so the point of my story is they then actually get out of the bank, bring hostages with them, a car is provided for them, they get away. But they're pursued by cops, obviously. So then a firefight takes place.
DCI Frank Haskins.
Frank Haskins, that's right. Hoskins, I think it was, wasn't it?
It says Haskins.
Haskins, yeah, Haskins, that's right, yeah. His wife went mad in another episode,
really?
by the way. Yeah, she went bonkers. But anyway, the point of the story is that they get away, and then the firefight takes place. Two policemen are killed, one of the hostages is killed, and Jack Regan storms up to Haskins.
Right.
And says, if you'd have done what I told you, if we'd have taken them out and had them in the sights, we wouldn't now have...
keep banging the desk.
That's right. We wouldn't now have two dead policemen and a dead hostage. Are you proud of your day's work, sir? And then sort of walks off. So
you'd have loved to have been him, wouldn't you? It's the sort of character you would have liked.
Maybe. I don't know. But I find all that fascinating. And what Chris says, the security expert we just had on, is that these policemen now who are in the armed response unit and all that, they fear that they get prosecuted for just doing their job.
I think you'll find that was my question to him, and that was why we were talking to him. Now, how about this from Chico in Cambridge? He said, "Tell Porky,
Chico.
Could you please tell me the exact year when the Commonwealth Games were held in Gothenburg?" Even Mike Graham's dog knows that Sweden is not in the Commonwealth, you complete buffoon.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But
They would only hold the Commonwealth Games in Commonwealth countries.
Yes, that's true. I said somewhere like, you know what I mean? I didn't mean exactly.
Well, let me run down a few of the numbers of places where the Commonwealth Games were held, and which one do you think is most like Gothenburg?
Yeah.
I suggested Manchester to you in 2002. After that, it was Melbourne, or Delhi, or Glasgow, or the Gold Coast in Australia, or Durban in South Africa.
I'm honestly not that sure.
Before Manchester, it was Kuala Lumpur.
Yes.
Before that, it was Victoria in Canada.
Well, could have been any of those.
Auckland.
Could have been any of those.
Well, that's going all the way back to 1990. I mean, how far back are you going with your hero?
I don't know. I don't know. If you, I mean, you could have short-circuited all that by looking up on your device there. Sir Steve Redgrave wins...
Commonwealth single skulls.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I could have done that.
Yeah.
But I'd rather elongate your pain.
I don't think so. No, listen, I've got some bad news.
Have you?
From Moscow, right?
Moscow?
Is
this from one of your handlers?
Well, you know. I mean, I do take an interest in affairs Russian because I've been there a few times. Well, it's quite funny actually because you know always say, don't worry about Russia. It's a democracy these days and all that kind of stuff. You know, no communist dictators anymore. But this is, I just find this, it's almost like fiction imitates real life. A politician...
Well, you mean art imitates life?
Yes, that's right, yeah. A politician who defected from President Putin's United Russia Party and later recorded a stunning victory in mayoral elections... Has been sentenced.
Found dead.
No. Has been sentenced to 12 years in a maximum security penal colony after a corruption trial, which he says was trumped up to on his political career.
Well, he's probably right, to be fair.
I mean, it's, you know...
But this is why I find it incredible that you still support Vladimir Putin.
I don't support him.
And say this is a great leader, he's to root for his people.
Look,
because this is a guy who is savagely, absolutely cracks down on anybody who disagrees with him.
Well, I'm not a huge supporter of Putin. What I've always said... No, I haven't. What I've always said is that he was determined to try and restore Russia's greatness in the world. Whether you like communist Russia or not, and I didn't, I hated it.
Well, he doesn't like communist Russia,
No, of course he doesn't. That's what I'm saying. They nevertheless were the other side of the free world. So that's why we used to talk about the third world. There was the free world, there was the communist world, and the rest was the third world, okay?
And now we call it the developing world.
Now we call it the developing world, and we don't even refer to Russia as the second world anymore because they're not. They're just part of the rest, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But what I find...
Angela Merkel would like to be part of Europe, wouldn't she?
Yeah, exactly. I suppose she would. But what I find amazing is that these guys who made billions, on the breakup of Russia and all the state industries were given away, basically, to pals of that blonde Russian drunk.
And then some of them were bought back, weren't they?
Bought back, and he used to stumble around, didn't he, falling down aeroplane stairs and all that kind of stuff.
I've been reminded that you haven't just asked you if you've seen the time.
Well, so what about the time?
Well, it's running late again.
Yeah, well, don't worry about this. But I mean,
I'm not worried about it.
Why they go round criticising Putin, I've no idea. Remember the guy whose private plane landed for refuelling somewhere in Russia, and armed guards came on board and took him off. He did 14 years in a Siberian jail.
That's it.
Just because
he's heard from again.
Well, he raised the prospect of running against Mr. Putin in quotes democratic elections.
Is this why you don't criticise him, because you end up like that?
Well, you've got to be very careful who you talk about in this,
absolutely right.
This particular world.
Martin says this on Twitter. Can I get the last 5 minutes back, please? Parry talking rubbish about the Swede. Why does he base his whole life on 70s television?
No, I don't. But as you quite rightly said, they're showing them again now.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find anybody who looks at a few old episodes of the Sweeney, they'll say that was classic television. Much better than some of the cop series that are made today.
Well, it's now a minute since I said, have you seen the time?
Yeah, and you kept talking.
No, I said something.
What do you do? Say, okay,
I don't expect you to answer everything I say.
Well,
you don't have to feel obliged.
You should, because otherwise you just spout off a load of vacuous rubbish, so
really?
I have to fill the vacuum.
Oh, really?
Simple as that.
There's a vacuum between your ears. You can just start by filling that.
It's a wonderful night. You gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night. Come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night. You gotta shake it from me.
This is Talk Radio. We are the Too Much. You realise after tomorrow, I'm on holiday.
Yeah, where are you going?
I'm not telling you where I'm going.
Okay, it's the Balearics, isn't it?
I'm not telling you. Why do you have to keep coming out with all these secrets about me?
Well, it's not a secret about going on holiday.
Well, it is a secret.
Well, you think people are going to track you down to your villa in the Balearics
Well, there are
and say,
several
hey,
reasons.
Mike,
I mean,
can I have a picture with you?
There are several reasons why I don't want people to know absolutely everything about where I go and what I do, okay?
Hey,
now,
listen.
I know that you don't like that, because if you start with this, I will tell people where you are every second of the day so they can come and find you. How would you like that?
No, it wouldn't bother me.
Really?
Listen, do you know what happened yesterday? This is amazing, right? You know that you said you came out of the tube the other day and some chap said, hi, Mike, and greeted you.
Well, it's twice it's happened to me in the last couple of weeks.
That's very nice, yeah. Well,
once from a police van.
Well, exactly. Now, funny enough, it's a similar story. So I'm on Clapham Junction Station, right, waiting for a connection to get me home to Stockbroker Belt.
This is not you just telling a story now so that you can keep up with the numbers of people that are coming up and saying hello to you.
No,
Are you sure?
I'm sure,
You're not just making this one up?
No, I'm sure.
Okay, why are you laughing then? Because you always laugh like that when you're making something up.
No, I'm not making it up.
Because I know you so well,
promise
you
I'm
see.
not making it up.
Okay,
Promise I'm not making
all right
it up.
then.
So,
Well,
anyway.
as long as you promise.
It's a very long platform, and I always stand right at the end, because...
Which end?
The end where the train comes in.
North or south? Well, that depends which way you go.
South, because I'm going down to Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, because my thinking is,
Well, the train then comes from the north, doesn't it?
No, the train comes from Victoria Station.
Which is north of Clapham.
Right. And it's coming into Clapham Junction.
So you
going
stand
south.
at the front end of the train.
Exactly, that's
so
right.
So that's at the end of the platform.
Yes, that's
It's
right.
not at the start of it.
No, it's right at the end of the platform.
Well, it's not the start then, is it?
What is the start and the end of a platform? They're the same, aren't they?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
because I want to be precise here.
Yeah.
You have to go to the top of the platform, the north end.
Yeah.
That's the start of the platform if you're travelling south.
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever. It's so irrelevant.
I know that
But
your
anyway.
brain can't commute on it.
Anyway, it's the one nearest the driver,
Yeah,
because
okay.
I know that people
You're hoping to find that female driver, aren't you?
No, not at all. But my
you
thinking
are.
is that the people who get on a Victoria, sometimes it's a very long train, 10 carriages, they're too idle to walk the whole length of the train, so most of them get on in the middle, which means that the carriages nearer the driver are usually empty, and I don't have to mix with the great masses. You know what I mean?
You don't like mixing with them, do you?
Well, it's not that I'm listening, but
Despite the fact that you're a man of the people.
I think everybody prefers to have a bit of room around them when they're travelling, maybe even get a table, spread out my documents, and my journals and that kind of stuff.
Are you one of those people that spreads out on a table of 4,
Yes.
covering all areas?
Yes, I do,
So
to
that people
discourage other people sitting down.
See, if
yeah.
I see that, I deliberately sit down.
Yeah,
there.
well, okay, that's fine. I'd have to deal with that situation, when I have done...
Unless it was someone like
occasionally.
you, in which case I'd run a mile away.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, the point of the story is,
Go on.
I thought, oh, something's happening, because coming towards me at a pace were 2 police officers,
Oh, yeah.
right from the other end of the platform.
Well, the top end.
Yeah.
The start of the platform.
Yes, and it's quite a long way.
It is.
And they came closer and closer and closer, and then I realised that
Well, I suppose they would if they were running towards
Well,
you.
exactly. And then I realised that they were actually from the British Transport Police.
Oh, right, not real police officers then.
Well, they are real police
They're
officers.
not really.
Well, no, they are.
See, I don't rate them as real police
Well,
officers.
I think that's a bit unfair, because it's a special branch of the police, the British Transport Police, and they have a chief constable and all that kind of stuff. So they are proper policemen.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with horrible things like people jumping in front of trains and things, which is not pleasant. But anyway, so they came dashing up to me, and then the guy started smiling. There were 2 of them. The guy nearest the railway line, started smiling, and then he put his hand out and said, "Hi, Mike."
Yeah.
I said, "What?"
Did he not have his cuffs in the other hand?
No. I said, "Hello." He said, "Hi, how are you?" I said, "I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, I'm fine."
You see, I don't believe this story.
Right, okay. He then walks past me, talks to the bloke who holds the paddle. The paddle is the one that waves the train off,
Is it?
it's ready to go.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
I've seen that, yeah. Has a quick word
Usually
with
he
him.
doesn't come out until the train's already in the station.
Well, the train was approaching. Yeah, the town already said the next train arriving at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we had a very quick word with this guy. I mean, I don't honestly think he had anything to say to him. I think he used that as an excuse to be up at that end of the platform. Then he turned round and then he shook hands with me again and said, "I'll never miss your show."
Really?
I'll never miss your show.
Did he tell you what his name was?
No.
Why didn't you ask him?
Well, why would I? Why would you say?
Well, because when I met that guy the other day,
Yeah.
and he shook my hand, I said,
Yeah.
"What's your name?" He said, "Jamie." And I said, "Very
Fine.
pleased to meet you.
Fine.
I'll give you a name check."
Yeah,
So
but-
that's what you normally do if you meet somebody, and they're very happy with that.
I don't think you can ask a cop necessarily what's
Why
your
not?
name, can you? You know, he'd probably tell you his number or something like that.
Well, maybe might do.
Policemen don't normally give their Christian names to members of the public, do they?
Well, I don't know. I've never really asked for one.
Well, there you go. But
But
anyway.
if a police officer came up to me and said, "Listen to your show all the time,
Yeah.
really nice to meet you," I would say, "Well,
Yes.
give us your name. I'll give you a name check."
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh no, I'd rather you wouldn't."
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't do it.
Well, that
but
didn't
then,
happen.
of course, if you didn't ask him,
Yeah.
then that casts all sorts of doubt on whether the story even happened.
No, the story did happen. And
I have no evidence.
well, I can tell you now, I'm very happy that if people want to spread the word that there's a British Transport policeman, probably based at Clapham Junction, who met me 2 days ago, shook my hand on platform 15.
Yeah.
Please ask him to give me a call.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's do that.
You all right with that?
Do you want to give the number out?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, I could, but I mean, what's the point? What's the point?
Because you're trying to cover it up. Anyway,
No.
have you seen this thing in China, by the way?
It's amazing.
Where they've given out new advice to their tourists, so
Yes.
that when they go to different countries of the world,
Yes.
they know what to do and what to say. It's a little bit like, do you remember that advert for a bank that used to be on? Where they would say, if you're in Japan, don't do this. Or
Oh,
if you're
that's
in-
right.
And we don't need
You
to say the
don't
name
make
of the bank.
hand gestures, which can be misinterpreted in
I
other
don't know
countries.
what that one is.
Well,
you can't do that on the radio. Nobody knows what you're doing.
Well, right.
Don't worry about describing
My forefinger and my thumb
Yeah.
form a sort of circle.
Yeah.
And you go, everything's fine. But apparently in Brazil,
No, it doesn't look
that
like that.
means sort of, it's like a V sign. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, anyway, here is what they suggest that you should not do.
Now, where did this all come from?
Well, it comes from a new tourism organisation guide.
Yes.
Not for people going to China, but for people coming from China into other countries, right? In other parts of the world, because the sense is that a lot of Chinese tourists are rude when they visit other countries.
And giving the country a bad name abroad.
Yeah, exactly, because they might be, ignorant of local customs or whatever it is. And when we are told when we go to China, there are certain things that we should do and certain things that we should not do.
Exactly.
So how about this, right? You may or may not know some of these things.
Right.
If you go to Italy, right, should you or should you not give a handkerchief as a gift?
Maybe not.
Yeah, it says here you should not because it is deemed inauspicious.
Right, okay.
I don't know what that means.
No, I don't know.
But why would you give a handkerchief to anyone as a gift anyway?
Well, I suppose if it was a monogrammed one, it had their initial on it or something like that,
What, their initial?
Yeah.
Well, why would you give them a monogrammed initialed handkerchief?
Well, a few years ago, I got a hankies for Christmas.
Hankies?
Yes, and the white hankies with a blue M embroidered in the corner. What's wrong with that?
You're like a sort of cut-rate Bond villain, aren't you?
No.
You are.
No.
You're sitting in that
What's wrong
little
with that?
crappy penthouse, You're not exactly Dr. No, are you?
Eh?
Dr. No Nothing,
No,
you could be.
I don't know.
No, but I mean...
Loads of
who
people
would
get
give you-
hankies given to them with a monogram
I've
on
never
them.
been given monogrammed handkerchiefs.
Well, you haven't got people who care for you, have
Yeah,
you?
but it's not something you do as a tourist, is my point. You don't suddenly arrive in Italy
yeah.
and meet somebody in a restaurant and go, oh, look, I've got some monogrammed handkerchiefs for you.
Yeah,
Do you?
well, I mean, look, it's one of those things.
All right, how about this? Who should you not discuss when you go to Thailand?
Well, I don't know. Probably other people's family members or
The
something
royal
like that.
family.
The royal family.
Apparently
right,
it's
okay.
not a good idea.
Okay.
In Nepal, we were talking about Kathmandu just the other day.
Yes.
Apparently you shouldn't touch other people's belongings with your foot.
Well, why would you? If you booted
Well-
somebody's bag out the way because it was lying in the pavement, what's wrong with that?
Well, because it says you can't do that.
Yeah.
But also it might be something that you would happen on a train. If
Yeah,
you're on
I
a train,
suppose so, yeah.
you might unfortunately, your foot might make contact with somebody's rucksack.
Yes.
You might not like that.
Yeah.
Now, this one you would think is pretty obvious. Do not ask for pork in Islamic countries.
Well, yeah, of course I'd think.
I mean, you wouldn't ask for pork in Israel either, would you?
No, these are simple things. Can I just... No, you wouldn't, no. Can I just say that, OK, so the Chinese want to protect the reputation of their people when they go abroad.
Yes.
They say that they've had lots of reports of Chinese people being late, stealing cutlery from restaurants, being rude to their hosts, making lots of noise and leaving hotel rooms dirty and unkempt, okay?
Oh, are you supposed to leave hotel rooms clean?
Well, I always do.
Do you?
Oh, yeah, of course I do. I don't leave
Why?
towels lying around on the floor. I don't leave unmade beds,
Well, you make the bed.
Well, I fold it back.
Why?
Because it's usually a duvet, and I just fold it back
Why?
because, well, it's polite, isn't it?
No,
You know?
that's kind of OC. What is it?
no.
I was going to say ACDC.
Yeah, no.
OCD type behaviour. that
Or
is.
what you mean? Yeah, but the point is, just imagine if this
Do
applied.
you wipe the sink as well?
No, I don't go as far as wiping the sink. But I mean, for instance, I always make certain that if there's water on the floor in the bathroom, I mop it up. I'd expect the cleaner
I've left
to
some
do that.
hotel rooms in the right state.
Well, I bet you have, yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. And
Well,
that's-
because that's what you're paying for. You paid £300 a night to stay somewhere.
You know,
I don't think they expect you to clean up after yourself.
And you say that I'm a snob. You can't even be bothered to try and make the life of a lowly paid cleaner easier by just
No.
tidying things up.
Not for £300 a night. Sorry.
Well, I do. And
Well, you stay in places like the place you took me to in Rugby.
well, there's nowhere else to stay. Now, what I was going to say is, just imagine if these laws applied to hen parties and stag parties
Actually,
that
that's a
leave
good
this
thought.
country,
That's a
that
good
leave this
thought.
country and go to European capitals.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Half the country now would never be able to travel abroad again.
Well, that's right.
It's
I mean,
disgraceful behaviour.
There's a story, in fact, I was just reading a few moments ago.
About
from,
8 a.m.
From a pair of brawling people on an aeroplane who were
Right.
taken off the plane. It was a
Disgraceful.
flight out of Manchester to
Yeah.
Ibiza,
Ibiza.
on a budget
Yeah,
airliner.
yeah.
Ibiza?
In the Balearics.
In the Balearics.
Yeah.
Ibiza, I call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You call it Ibiza.
Ibiza, yeah.
You can call it that if you want.
Yeah.
Anyway, the police had to come on and break up a fight between two people in an early morning flight.
I know.
And we've heard another story today about, what is it?
8 a.m.
Not JetBlue, is it?
No,
JetBlue?
some airlines said now they won't serve any booze on board before 8 a.m.
Did they not also say...
It's so ridiculous.
Did they not also... Well, you shouldn't really need to drink before 8 a.m.
Well, you shouldn't really, but the funny thing is, last time I was at Heathrow going somewhere, I can't remember where it was, I walked in at 7:30 a.m, and there were people there with stacks of pints of lager on their tables. I mean, I don't mean one, I mean like, 6.
I don't think that happens in any other country, does it?
Well, I went up to the bar, and I have to admit, I did get myself a drink, because I thought, well,
what
why
time
not?
in the morning?
About 7:30 a.m.
7:30?
About 7:30, yeah.
You were working, presumably?
No, I wasn't. I was on a couple of days off, so wherever I was going. I think I was flying to a football match, actually. I think I was going to watch Everton. I think I was flying to Newcastle.
Flying?
Yeah, I did to Newcastle, yeah.
Super.
Yeah, but
Man of the people.
That's right, yeah. But I said to the guy, what time do you start serving around here? And is it 7 o'clock? He said, no, 4 a.m.
4.
So people who turn up at 5, 2 hours ahead of their flight at 7, can get massively tanked up.
I mean, in a funny sort of way, I can imagine wanting to have a drink at 4 in the morning more than I can at 7.
Well, because for you, it's like the end of the day, not the start.
Well, exactly. At 4, you might be, still, you've been up all night.
Yeah.
But, if that's your first thing that you're doing for breakfast is drinking, that's just ridiculous.
It is. I agree. And
what would you do then if you had this Hokkaido tourism organisation of people on board? What would you have them say? Things that you should not do.
Yes.
I mean, include one of these is do not expose the chest or back or look dirty in public areas.
Well, I think that's quite right.
I think that would be one for the Brits, wouldn't it?
Do you know what?
Do not urinate in public. Would be one.
And
do not lie down in the street.
Well, anybody who walks into any public place like a bar, restaurant, shop without a shirt on should be thrown out.
I agree.
You should be thrown out. It's a filthy and disgusting habit.
I would also move it to vests.
And vests.
Anything,
funny you should say
which
that.
Exposes the armpits.
Funny you should say that. I was in a boozer yesterday
Mind you,
somewhere.
that'd be a bit sexist because it's only men's armpits I don't like.
No, I totally agree with that as well. I was in a boozer yesterday somewhere, and I was waiting at the bar, and some bloke came up and stood next to me. And you're absolutely right. He was an excessively gross man, right? Okay.
Excessively gross.
Excessively gross.
That's pretty good coming from you.
And he had a vest on which really didn't fit him, if you see what I mean.
Was it loose?
No, terribly tight. Terribly tight. And as a result of which, a good, I would say, 50% of the flesh quotient of his upper torso was very aware to everybody around.
Okay.
And I have to keep telling people this statistic. 98% of household dust is in fact dead cell skins off your body.
No.
It is.
Skin cells, you mean?
Skin cells, yeah.
Cell skins. That sounds like something you buy down the cell skin shop.
That's right. And
we haven't got much time here.
And that means that guy's walking around that pub, and you know what he's doing? He's shedding dead skin cells all over the place.
Not to mention brain cells.
And brain cells have gone already. For anybody who dresses up like that, they must have done.
Yeah.
And that should be an offence, socially unacceptable offence, which we should get hold of and kick out.
Should be able to give him an ASBO. Well, we'll talk some more about that coming up.
Indeed.
Because we may want to get some of your input on this on Twitter. You can tweet us, of course, at the two Mikes, at Mike Parry, at IROMG. We're going to tell you what listography is as well. But the news is coming up next. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the two Mikes on Talk Radio. We're going to do listography coming up in a little while, and why don't we pick one of the ones that's come in on Twitter?
Okay.
I quite like the look of one that says, how about your 3 favourite holiday destinations?
Well, I like that.
I don't think we've done that one. We've done different destinations, places we'd like to go to.
Yes.
But I don't think we've actually done holiday destinations, so we'll do that.
I think we should talk about your 3 best holiday experiences, you see what I mean? So that would be something that happened to you on holiday.
Oh, you mean things that actually happened while you were on holiday?
Yes, I do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
do you think that would be okay?
Yeah, I think that'll be okay.
Will you be able to tell stories that were, okay for a family show?
Yes, indeed, I will. Yeah,
because we don't want to go down.
No,
dark roads.
No, it'll be very.
Anyway, shall I finish telling you my story about what happened to me this morning?
Oh, excuse me.
So I had to turn the car around.
Yeah.
I had to turn the car around, right? And it's a very small kind of country lane anyway.
Right, okay.
And it already had one lane closed off completely.
And amazing. It's near my hospital, isn't it? No,
it is. Yeah, very close. I could have gone to see Dr. Banner. The man who, of course, is very much in the man who's in charge of your personal care.
Yeah, and the man who saved my life.
Yeah,
and helps me to get through life with only 1/3 of my heart working.
Well, actually, my plan originally was to go because you'll know this outside of Harefield Hospital. There's quite a nice little green.
It's green right opposite, and there's a pub right next door.
Right, and there's a couple of shops. And my plan was to get up there, take the dog out of the car,
Yes.
let him walk around the green a little bit,
yeah.
and maybe pick up something to eat, you know, a cup of coffee,
Yes.
and then go and drop him off, right? But of course, none of that happened because instead of being able to go directly to that place, I was sent on this ridiculous diversion, and it went forever.
Right.
And I'm driving thinking, you know, it's really, the house is only about half a mile down the road.
Yes, right.
And I've been driving for now about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I eventually get to a very small side road somewhere near Ruislip where it said diversion left.
Yes.
So I turned left down this side road, and then I see a sign that says dead end.
Cul-de-sac.
And it was a dead end. And I got to the end of the dead end, and at the end of the dead end it said diversion ends.
So
like some kind of joke.
You must have been very frustrated.
I was.
Yeah, indeed,
because it took me about 45 minutes out of my day.
And how did you eventually get to this place?
Well, I then sat there and I found out what the postcode was of the place where I was going.
Yeah.
And I just put it into my iPad. And
Right.
so I just had to follow this. And then once I found a familiar road,
Yeah.
I knew where I was.
And
but then there
then-
was no way of explaining how you get back to the M40.
But then did you work out that you'd actually misread the diversion signs?
Well, what I then discovered was that there was all over the area generally a whole load of different diversion signs.
What were they doing?
Well,
Put down new drains or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the people where I stopped when they were
Yeah.
digging up had lots of no smoking signs,
Yeah.
and gas leak signs, and all that. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
it was gas
Well,
leak.
it could have been
Which is a
new
bit
gas.
unfortunate. 'Cause when I got out of the car to talk
yeah,
to them,
yeah.
I just lit up a cigarette.
Yeah, well, exactly.
you know,
Could have blown yourself up.
I could have done, yeah. So
Like, it's
very
like that,
disturbing.
like that famous scene in Zoolander, isn't it? You know, when they're all spraying petrol over
Yeah.
each other on the forecourt.
That's
Hey,
right.
isn't it funny? You know, and then they set fire to an inferno. Listen, I've got something funny to tell you about fire.
Have you?
Right now, you
Something
know.
funny about fire.
Yes. You know, I said to you that one time I was going to do a sponsorship thing with a betting company, and Michael Van Gerwen, the
Oh, yeah,
world's
it was
top
going to be the Apple thing, right?
Yeah, the idea was that they had to put an apple on my head, and I stood in front of a dartboard. Then Michael Van Gerwen would come in with a dart, and he would take the apple off my head with his first dart.
Yes.
Okay, and I mean, I wasn't going to wear
Or
any
split it even.
well, you can't split an apple with a... We worked it out. You can't split an apple with a
Can't you?
dart. The idea was to knock it off my head.
Okay.
You know, hit it with such force.
Yeah.
Now, the idea was I wasn't going to wear any protective gear or anything like that, because my view is that from 8 feet, which is the length of the hockey in a proper darts match... Michael
darts carpet, that is, right?
The
for
darts
people who don't
carpet,
know.
that's right, yeah. Michael Van Gerwen could hit a bullseye almost every time.
Bullseye?
Yeah, of course he could,
Or how
yeah.
about a bullseye?
Yeah, a bullseye, as I said, and so it's very unlikely that he would miss the middle of an apple, which
Right.
is a considerably.
What's this going to do with fire?
Well, I'm about to tell you.
I've been told off every 5 minutes by the producer because you won't shut up.
No, don't.
Can you just get to the point?
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, look at what I found out last night when I was just looking through my research. In America, a stunt went badly wrong on live TV. It was on America's Got Talent, which I think Piers used to work on.
He did, yeah.
Piers Morgan,
Yeah.
our friend.
Well, it's a Simon Cowell offshoot, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Ryan's stock was set on fire when his partner, Amber, who's a very, glamorous woman dressed in glamorous clothes.
Well, is this on a stage show?
This is on the stage show, and she's got a crossbow,
right.
and on the crossbow is a flaming bolt.
Right.
Okay.
Why do you find this funny?
It's very funny. So the idea is she's supposed to shoot the flaming bolt into the target, which is in his mouth.
Right.
You know, he's holding the target.
Right.
You see what I mean?
So what, the bolt has to hit the target?
It has to hit the middle of the target.
Right.
And then it explodes. You see what I mean?
Well, how does that work?
Well, I don't know, but he's a tough guy.
Sounds very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Anyway, something goes wrong at the last minute, and she suddenly sort of jerks the crossbow.
Yeah.
And
Maybe nervous. Maybe finger slips or something.
Well, she shoots him in the throat.
Right.
And the bolt explodes and sets fire to his head.
You shouldn't laugh.
No,
Is he all right?
Well, he's got burns.
Well, hopefully he's okay then.
Yeah, that's right.
You wouldn't want him to be in any discomfort.
Yeah, she unfortunately shot him in the neck with the flaming dart, missing the target that was in his mouth.
Dear me.
He said, "I'm very fortunate to walk away without serious injury, but I've got distinctive burns."
Did they have the noise when that happens? You know,
Yeah,
they
I
have
suppose so.
the exit,
The red
to
cross,
kick
yeah,
you out.
you're out, yeah,
That's not
yeah.
good. Now, do you know what we're going to do coming up? We're going to talk to a man from Cornwall.
Oh, good.
Who is also an archaeologist, right?
Oh, yes.
But he's also involved with a party, political party.
Yes.
Called Mebion Kernau, I think.
Oh,
is the
yeah,
name.
that's great. Now, you know why we're talking to this chap, don't you?
No, you tell me.
We're talking to this chap because
They've made some discovery.
in my historical research, it is claimed that they have come across a chamber that they believe is on the site of the very, very famous Tintagel Castle. Tintagel Castle, that's right, where they believe,
You've been there?
King... No, I haven't actually.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
What is
Amazing
it like?
place.
Is it like ruins?
Well, yeah, but it's incredible. I mean, it's almost like ruins, except it's like the way that you would imagine Uriah Heep would depict a one of their album covers. You know that band? From the 70s,
I know. Yeah.
Heavy metal band.
Yeah.
Drawn by that guy Matthews, I think it was. Roger Matthews, you know, the illustrator.
Don't know.
And you go down some steps to the beach, and there's Merlin's cave,
right,
which fills up with water when the tide comes in.
Yeah, it does.
But to go up to the top of the castle, you have to go up these rickety sort of outside. The building stone steps. It really is quite a magical place.
Yeah, well, and it all happened in the 6th century. By the way, in Merlin's cave, it's claimed that they used to like throw prisoners in there and then just wait for the sea to drown them.
Yeah,
you know that's
possibly
that's the way they.
I thought Merlin was a force for good.
Yeah, he was, but Merlin's cave was never used to be called Merlin's cave. It was just a cave. And
you mean this is beyond and after or before?
Yeah, this is before the 6th century.
Well, Arthur built the place, didn't he?
Well, yeah, but he didn't build the cave. The cave's a natural development from inside the rock.
No, I know that.
Do you know why Mousehole is called Mousehole?
No, tell me.
Because there's a big cave that looks like a mouse hole.
Really?
That's why they called it Mousehole.
Well, most caves do look like a mouse hole.
Yeah, well, this one looks particularly...
Why do they call every other place with a cave mouse hole?
I don't know. This one looks particularly like a mouse hole, so they called it Mousehole.
Isn't that a place that used to flood?
Well,
they had that terrible flood in the 50s, didn't they?
No, it's got a much more tragic past, Mousehole. Mousehole was where the lifeboat was launched, to rescue a ship, a foreign ship, a tanker that was in trouble and was beached on the rocks.
Okay.
And I think it was 6 or it might have been 8 members of the lifeboat crew sadly drowned in the rescue attempt.
And is that Cornwall as well, then?
That's Cornwall, yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Right.
But anyway,
so what, they found this stuff in Tintagel Castle?
Well, what they've done is they found a new chamber, they think, with very thick walls, and then there's some debate now as to whether or not this could be the last resting place of the legendary and very, very famous King Arthur. Arthur of the Round Table.
And what about the knights?
King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, yeah.
Well, but I mean, saying all of them there or not? Just him?
No, just him. That, I mean, there isn't actually, I don't think, any evidence that King Arthur actually existed other than writings.
Well, we'll have to put this to the leader of Mebby and Kerdau.
Indeed, that's right, yeah.
And find out
but you know, these guys in Cornwall, they've got their own language.
Yeah.
They've got their own flag.
Yeah.
It's a black flag with a white cross on it.
That's right.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And they've got...
whenever you go down there, you see it flying everywhere.
Yeah, you do, yeah. They've got their own culture and their own history. They've got,
their own pasties.
Their own pasties, their own clotted cream, got their own Land's End.
I'm not sure if they've got their own clotted cream.
Well, that's Devon probably, but it's still in the West Country.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a wonderfully mesmeric place, Cornwall.
Oh, yeah. When was the last time you were there?
About 4 years ago. About 4 years ago. And I tell you what, there was a
Was this the holiday with your sisters that you went on?
Yes, that's right. Yes, took them down there when we came to a family anniversary.
We're nearly ready to stop again.
And also, I used to watch a TV series about a cop in Cornwall, but I never watched.
Poldark you used to like as well.
Poldark was brilliant. Poldark was based there, but the cop series I used to watch was great. Except that the policeman who was the star of it was the most humorless policeman you've ever seen. I mean,
what was it called?
I don't know, but
don't know.
I can't remember. But somebody will tell me. But
is it Wycliffe?
Wycliffe, thank you.
Wycliffe.
The only reason I used to watch it was because the opening was spectacular. It showed all these waves crashing over rocks. Yeah, it is. They show repeats of it, but it's only worth watching the first few minutes.
Is it?
And then the rest of it's garbage, you know what I mean? And also, that's
Why should you watch the first few minutes?
Well, because the opening is so spectacular. All these waves crashing over rocks and into caves and spectacular scenery of closed down old tin mines and all that. It's all based in Cornwall.
Which also look like mouse holes, funnily enough.
Yeah, funnily they do. And the other one I watched, for the very same reason, but I don't think it's much good, is Doc Martin. Because I love the coastline and the little bay that it's based in. St Isaac's it is, I think, is the real name of the place. I might go there, actually. Right. Might go there next week.
Sure it's not Port Isaac?
Port Isaac. It's Port Isaac. And I might go there next week.
Really?
Yeah, mate.
I think we go to Cheshire.
Well, I'm going to Cheshire to watch
Everton.
Everton.
It's a long way from Cheshire.
Well, who knows? The speed at which my Merc moves wouldn't take long.
No. Of course, you wouldn't be going over the speed limit.
Of course not. No, but
anyway, we'll talk to the leader of this party coming up.
Excellent.
And we'll find out what exactly they found down in Cornwall.
Good idea.
Talk Radio. No, it's just not very nice looking.
No, what's wrong with it? I think it's great.
No, it's horrible looking.
No, it's not. It's great at all. Just one last question,
please.
We haven't
time for another question.
No, what do you think about the St Ives situation? People now banned from acquiring second homes.
Good.
Yeah, good, okay.
Yeah, so
that's
the sort of man I like. He gives a one-word answer. Dick, thank you very much indeed, because we're right out of time and we wouldn't want you to encourage Mr. Parry to say anything else.
Indeed.
Coming up, we're going to do listography, but first...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Tobias Wilcock welcoming you aboard Coconut Airways Flight 3722 to Bridgetown, Barbados. We will be flying at an height of 32,000 feet and at an airspeed of approximately 600 miles per hour. Refreshments will be served and takeoff. Kindly fasten your safety belts and refrain from smoking until the aircraft is airborne.
Whoa, I'm going to Barbados. Whoa, back to the Parry. Whoa, I'm going to see my girlfriend. Whoa, in the sunny Caribbean Sea. I don't want to be bus driver all my life.
That makes you feel like going on holiday straight away, doesn't it, really?
Well, I think that record came out when I was at the height of my disco power, you know what I mean? No, seriously.
I hate to think what the sort of the bottom of it was.
No. You used to go to
your height.
used to go to the King's Disco in Chester, every Thursday, Friday and Saturday night, really, and Sunday sometimes as well. And spend all our money by Sunday. They got paid on Thursday. But anyway, point of the story is...
Yeah.
That is to indicate some memorable holidays that you and I have been on.
Indeed, because we're now doing listography, okay,
Indeed.
which we do once a week, and it's 3 things that people pick
Yes.
that's been nominated.
Yes.
So this is 3
Most memorable holidays.
Most memorable holidays, and
Yes.
there could be holiday experiences.
Indeed.
Or they could just be places you've been and things that you've seen.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
yeah.
I can tell you now,
Yeah.
there are certain things that I'm going to be keeping off the list. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I am. Yeah, you're talking about relationship
Not necessarily.
situations.
Not necessarily that.
You don't
but
wish
just,
to discuss.
Just things that
because
as
you're
I've-
ashamed of
No,
what you got
I've
up
never,
to.
No, I've never been ashamed of anything that I've done, but I don't wish to make everything in my life public.
Public, okay.
Okay.
All right, well, give us your first one anyway.
My first one
Yeah.
is going deep sea fishing, Ernest Hemingway style,
Yes.
off the coast of Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was when I
really
was
interests
living
me,
in,
that.
what do you mean it doesn't interest you?
I don't like
I'm
fishing.
not doing it for your benefit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you've never sat in the big chair, have you?
No.
You've never gone on one of those boats where they've
No.
got the massive fishing rods going off the back.
No.
Right? And you're trawling.
I haven't got the slightest interest, honestly.
The south part of the Floridian coast.
I'd rather stick my head in
and you're hopeful.
a bucket of boiling tar.
Yeah, and then eating the cabbage out of it. But I mean, the fact it was a fantastic day out because I was staying at the Boca Raton Hotel and Club, right, which
Yes.
was, as you would call it, a facility trip
Yes.
that was laid on.
Yes.
And they said, we're going to go do some fishing this afternoon. And we were looking for tuna. We never got any tuna.
Yeah.
But, the guys who were on the boat had told us loads of stories about catching these massive, great tuna fish.
Yeah.
Caught a few barracudas,
Yeah.
which were very, very hard to catch.
What kind of size are they?
They're actually only about sort of 18 inches long,
That's
but they've
pretty
got
big
massive.
fish.
But they've got massive teeth.
Don't find many of those in
And when
your,
I was trying to pull
your
this
local
thing
river.
in, and I'm not really a fisherman, I don't really fish. It's not for me. But this was a fantastic trip. It was on one of these
Yeah.
great big launches. There's about 5 fishing rods going in at the same time.
Yes.
And there was a massive, great big ice bucket full of beer.
Yeah.
And sun shining.
Sounds good.
Couldn't have been better. So that's my first one.
Okay, my first one was memorable,
Yeah.
but for all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
The first time I went with my mates on
Yeah.
a holiday on our own was 17.
Uh-huh.
We're so keen to get out on the Bladderation Trail. We just got to the hotel.
Where
and,
was this?
This was in Mallorca.
Mallorca.
Yeah, and we're so keen to get out on the Bladderation Trail that we went to the hotel. There was a huge, long queue of people all checking in.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
a tourist hotel.
Because you don't get off a bus and everybody checks.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It takes ages,
Off a coach, that's right. Yeah, so we went to see the guy who was the porter or something. We just gave him a load of pesetas.
It would have been pesetas
in those days, yeah. And said, look, okay to go drinking and you look after, and that kind of stuff.
Japanese.
No. So anyway, we only walked about 100 yards down the road, walked into a bar.
Yeah.
And
Did you want to go on the beach?
No, I had no interest in the beach. This was about 11, 12 o'clock,
overnight?
Daytime.
Oh, daytime.
Yeah, and
Why would you want to go to the beach during the day?
well, I have no idea. But anyway, you had to go down the stairs to walk in. I walked in, and as I was walking across the bar to the bar, across the floor of the the establishment to the bar, a fella walked towards me smiling, and I thought, do I know this guy? And then punched me in the eye, and he'd taken his belt off his trousers.
Right.
Wrapped it round his.
Oh my goodness!
Wrapped it round his knuckle,
right?
And the buckle of the belt was on the top.
Why did he do that?
Well, I'll tell you now. And it
Well, we have got 3 of these each,
Yeah,
so
no,
try not to monopolise
All right, well,
the first
very,
one.
very quickly. So
You
he
cut
knocked
to
me
the
out.
chase,
Anyway,
please.
the point is, he was a Spanish waiter.
Yeah.
He'd been going out with an English girl.
Right.
And she dumped him for an Englishman with ginger hair.
Right.
And I had very ginger hair in those days.
Uh-huh.
So he thought it was me.
All right.
So he punched me in the face. Within an hour of arriving, I was in hospital
Brilliant.
and I had 16 stitches put in my head.
Fantastic.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, that is quite memorable.
Yes.
My second one is going to India, and I was quite young at the time. I was only 20.
Yes.
But I was taken over there by this magazine I was working for.
Exactly.
And one of my great regrets, in some ways, is that I didn't take up the offer that I was offered by some Indian businessman to edit one of his magazines.
Okay.
And I could have stayed in Delhi, and one of the things that we did was we went to see the Taj Mahal,
Yeah.
which was amazing to see it in person.
Groovy.
We went to Jaipur, where we saw the Maharaja's palace.
That's great.
I stayed in the honeymoon suite on my own, I hasten to add.
Really?
They gave me the little red dot on my head and gave me a garland of flowers.
Sounds good.
And I loved India, and I could have stayed there. And I wonder what would have happened if I'd taken him up on the offer, because I would have been 21 years old, editing a magazine in India.
Yeah.
And I would have had a whale of a time.
Yeah,
I'd
well-
probably have a palace by now.
Yeah, you might
and
have done,
would never have met you.
Well, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
I think my second one's got to be, and I've mentioned it this week already, Necker.
Necker.
So going out to the
You're
British...
not going to tell us this ridiculous water skiing
I did
story.
a water skiing
No,
all around
nobody
Necker.
believes you.
Well,
No.
I don't care if they believe it or
Nobody
not.
believes it.
It's because it's such a
It's supposed to
fantastical
be a
thing
true,
to do.
It's supposed to be a true story.
But the point is, it wasn't just Necker, it was the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
And they're so beautiful, the islands. There's a place called Virgin Goa.
Virgin Gorda.
Yeah, there's a
It's
place...
not Virgin Goa.
Hey?
It's Virgin Gorda.
Virgin Gorda, that's
Gorda.
right. There's another place called Little Dick's.
Is there?
Don't laugh.
Is that a pub?
Most
I'm not
people
laughing.
do. No, it's D-I-X, Little
I'm
Dick's.
not laughing.
That was a... I thought you probably would.
Why?
Because I am, you know.
Is that why you were there?
Name. No, that's a bit harsh.
Obviously.
That's a bit harsh. And magical, everywhere you went. There was a place we stayed in.
Did you water ski everywhere then?
No, I didn't water ski. We flew around on little planes or on boats. Boston Whalers.
Yeah.
And there's a fantastic pub there called the Pirates Pub,
Yeah.
which was literally a pub built on just an outcrop
I thought it
of
was
rock.
a Pirates Cove.
No, it's the Pirates Pub. It's
sure?
called the Pirates Pub. It had a fantastic jukebox,
Yeah.
you know, REM, you know, Losing
Yes,
My
pirates
Religion.
like a jukebox, don't they?
Well, I mean, there were no pirates
Sounds very
around.
authentic.
No pirates around those. But it was a brilliant. I was there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was magical, absolutely magical. The last holiday I ever went on, actually.
Is it?
I gave up holidays.
How long
like,
ago was that?
20 years ago.
20 years.
Yeah.
So you're going to Chester on a holiday for the first time in 20 years?
Yeah, I am actually, yeah. Funny enough, yeah.
My third one is Turkey.
Turkey?
I took the kids to Turkey.
I went to Turkey. Got
you?
my phone stolen. Yeah,
Had
go
you?
on. Yeah.
What, in Istanbul?
In Istanbul, yeah.
Well, it's a different part of Turkey. It's the south
Right.
coast of
Okay,
Turkey,
okay.
which is quite close to Cyprus, not far from Syria,
Well, this
actually.
is only a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
This was about 3 years ago,
Right,
I think.
okay,
First time I went to Turkey.
Yes.
And the thing was, we arrived there quite late at night. It was one of those flights that got in at sort of midnight.
Sure.
And we had to find our way to this car hire place, which was sort of slightly outside of the airport.
Right, okay.
And I had to find this resort
Yes.
by driving myself, because I didn't want to take the shuttle bus.
No sat-nav?
Well, no, I didn't have sat-nav.
No.
I had a map, and I
Right.
sort of knew where we had to go.
Yeah.
And there's only one real
Yeah.
proper road.
Yeah.
But we got to this amazing resort. But because it was so late at night, we were all knackered. We had one quick drink, went to the room, and you put the balcony sort of windows open. You
Yes.
couldn't really see what was out there. But you could hear
Right.
this amazing sound of the sea.
Okay.
And the sea just kind of washing up on the shore.
Yes.
It sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
And the moment I loved was the next morning when I woke up and opened the shutters. And there was this incredible vista.
Building site?
Not building site, no.
No.
Beautiful palm trees,
Oh, okay.
amazing blue water, fantastic, know, yellow sand,
Yeah.
golden sand, and just amazing.
I happened to be in the Seychelles.
Did
Exactly
it?
the same thing. I
Did
arrived
it?
at night, yeah. But anyway, that's very interesting.
You don't have to, you try and top my stories each time.
No, okay. My third one...
Have you got any stories about sort of places rather than just about you?
I'm going to tell you one now.
Yeah.
It was when I
And
went...
the last one should be true,
Yeah, well, you know...
as opposed to made up.
was when I went on the first school skiing trip to Switzerland.
Uh-huh.
We went to, when did we go? Wengen and Wengenalp.
Where?
Okay? Wengen and Wengenalp.
Wengen and Wengenalp.
And Clanscheidegg, which is just
Are you
outside...
sure any of these places exist?
Yeah, because you get on the train in Interlaken.
Yeah, Interlaken
and
I've heard
And you
of.
go up the mountain, the Matterhorn,
Why are
you
you
know.
speaking in that funny voice?
Well, yeah, that's the way they speak there. And I remember the majesty of the mountains. I mean, being amongst huge mountains like that, seeing them outlined against the sky,
Yeah.
and then being in a snowstorm and seeing the snow come down, and then being on skis coming down hills and all that. It was...
Was this your first skiing trip?
It was the first skiing trip. Went
Were
again.
you good at it?
Yeah, well, I was all right. I was a beginner, wasn't I? You know, went the following year, okay, and then I'd sort of outgrown, school trips. I was then 16 or whatever. But I always said that is the greatest holiday I ever went on, the first one, and I've got to go again. And do you know what? I have never been skiing since. Never.
So you only went once in your life?
Twice. Went when I was 14 and 15.
Yeah. That must have been why you were so good at water skiing.
Well, maybe, it could be, but I've been to Switzerland plenty of times since, for football matches, chasing stories, covering the Euro 08 European Championships and all that. But I've never been back to the mountains. Never been skiing again. Never been
maybe
skiing.
you should go.
Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, but I mean, you can't ski at this time of the year, can you?
Not really.
Not unless you go to sort of
If you go to
Buenos
Glacier,
Aires.
Well, you go to Glacier, you can ski.
Well, I don't ski on glaciers.
Well, you can.
Ski on virgin snow.
Really?
Yeah, it's better.
Have you got some skis of your own?
No, of course not. Why would I have skis?
Well, you've got golf clubs. You don't use those either.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, at least you can use golf clubs in this country. You can't go skiing in this country. You've not noticed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was Listography. Thank you
Indeed.
very much indeed. There'll be another one coming up very, very soon.
Yeah.
Not next week, though, because we won't be here.
No, we won't be here. No, you'll be on holiday.
I will.
That's why we're talking about holidays.
Exactly right.
I won't be on holiday.
Won't you?
No.
Why not?
I haven't been on holiday for 35 years.
I thought you said 20.
20. Yeah, well...
20, 35, what's the difference?
No, 35 years, but
skiing, water skiing.
That one in between was
you are unbelievable.
Was just the one.
Just unbelievable. That was Listography. This is Talk Radio. We are the two mics, and of course we'll be back tomorrow from 1 o'clock. Steve has tweeted us to say, I'll be leaving for Barbados and can't wait. I will be looking forward to tweeting you from there.
Excellent.
See, that's another thing. When you go on holiday, you will no doubt be, as I can imagine you will, because you always do this whenever I go away, you'll be constantly on Twitter, constantly kind of goading me about, whether I'm getting too drunk to go on Twitter. And I'm going to tell you now, okay, I'm not going to be on Twitter every single day.
I don't expect you to be.
I don't
you
go
should
on
go on holiday and look after your children.
Yeah, exactly. I don't go on holiday to answer your ridiculous questions.
No, I don't care about your holiday. Get off on your holiday. I couldn't care less.
You will. You will miss me.
Get your spade and bucket out. Get your beach ball and just push off and leave me alone, okay?
But you will be like a lost soul, like you always are.
Lost soul at all. I've got business to do.
You'll be constantly tweeting about me, asking people what you think I'm doing, seeing if anybody spotted me.
No,
you will.
I couldn't care less.
Because you're obsessed with me.
I couldn't care less. Listen, do you know where the Painted Hall is?
What?
The Painted Hall.
No.
Painted Hall.
I know where the painted, what is it? The Painted Goose, or is it the painted? There's a really interesting curry house.
No.
On the south side of, not on the south side, on the north side of the river, just by sort of Chelsea Harbour.
Well, I don't know if there's any connection there.
Painted Goose, I don't know.
No. The Painted Hall is at the Greenwich Naval College.
Oh, is it?
And it's known as Britain's Sistine Chapel.
Funny enough, my kids were there just the other day. When they came up last week, they went down to the Naval College.
Did they? Greenwich Naval College?
To have a look around. Well, they went to the observatory. I'm not sure if they went to the Naval
Fantastic
College.
Fantastic building.
Have you been there?
Yes, I have. I was going to tell you. And I had dinner there in the Painted Hall.
Did you?
Now, the Painted Hall is so famous because literally the ceiling is painted very much Michelangelo style. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And most ceilings are painted.
No, this is ornate paintings.
Well, it's a bit of an understated name, isn't it?
No, it's...
I mean, you might as well say, come into my painted living room.
No, come into the Painted Hall. It's called that because the paintings are done by people like Turner.
But that's what I'm saying. They should call it a better name.
Yeah, well...
The Painted Hall sounds as if they've just painted it.
No, you don't quite get it. It's famous worldwide as the Painted Hall, and the reason is...
But I just find the name wrong.
No, it was where Nelson's body lay in state for 5 days, immersed in brandy to preserve it.
Brandy.
When he was brought back 6 weeks after the victory.
They won't have to do that to you, will they?
Trafalgar.
They won't have to do that to you, since you're already immersed.
I'm going to ignore that stupid question. So anyway, what happens is, a few years ago, when I was El Supremo at the Press Association...
Oh, yeah.
What
was your title?
Executive editor. And the military thought that our defence correspondent was so good at what he did.
This is the guy who was always bladdered.
The defence correspondent? I'm trying to remember. No, he wasn't.
Oh, that was a religious correspondent.
That was a religious correspondent who was always bladdered. Yeah, the defence correspondent went off to work for BAE, British Aerospace, on a huge salary.
Oh, because, so he went from the old poacher turned gamekeeper.
He did indeed. Yeah, but anyway, the point of the story is so his name was Charlie.
I don't know if you use his name away.
So we got invited to
Did he still work for BAE?
I've no idea. To be honest, I haven't been in touch for about 15 years. But the point of the story is we got invited there to their annual dinner. It was the annual all-services dinner, Navy, Army, Air Force, right? Okay. And a magnificent dinner inside the Painted Hall.
Was everyone in sort of military uniform?
Yes, absolutely, very much so.
Apart from you? Just stuck out a bit.
I was made an honorary captain for the night. I was made an honorary captain.
Captain Parry.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You're like true. Captain Mannering.
Captain Parry.
Don't panic.
Because that's a very senior rank, of course.
Captain is not a very senior rank.
It is in the Navy.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is. Anyway.
Admiral's a very senior rank.
Anyway.
Or Vice Admiral.
And the point is...
Captain is not... And it's not like the captain of the ship.
It was what they had on the table
Yeah.
was a little railway track
Uh-huh.
with a little engine pulling a carriage,
Yeah.
which had the port in it. And the famous expression is port on the left,
Yeah.
starboard on the right.
Yeah.
So you always pass the port to the left. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it went round
You don't drink
clockwise.
port, though, do you?
Well, I had a few glasses that night.
Did you?
I mean, the point of the story
Well, that
is
sounds a bit messy.
it went on till about 6 in the morning. It's
Dear God.
magnificent.
Did you have to
dinner.
go to work the next day?
I can't remember, actually. I can't remember. I was the boss anyway, so it didn't probably matter. I probably said I'm coming in at midday or something.
Probably.
But anyway, the reason I'm telling you all this
Yeah,
is
why are you telling me all this?
because...
Were you lying on your back looking at the ceiling? Is that why you noticed it?
No. What's happened is that somebody's stumped up a £3.1 million grant, some preservation society.
Well, don't you think you should give them the credit? Some preservation society.
Yeah. Well, I don't know which one
give
it
them
is.
a bit of a credit.
I don't know which one it is.
Well, tell me.
To restore the 300-year-old building's painted hall. So they're going to repaint the painted hall.
And it's all Turner, is it?
A lot of it is. A lot of it was those sort of people.
I think we might be talking to some expert on
I think
Turner
we are.
tomorrow.
I think we are, yeah. Which would be
There's
brilliant.
a new
wouldn't
book out about him. You can ask her about it.
Yeah, exactly.
The painted hall.
I totally agree.
Is it the painted hall?
The painted hall, yeah. I mean, look, I'll show you a picture.
What sort of food did you get, by
And
the
you
way?
might be able to see the reflection in the table of the ornate surroundings, you see?
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's very impressive.
It is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been there.
Yeah, no, it's magnificent. I don't know whether your children went there.
I don't think they did, you know. I think they went to the observatory,
Yeah.
where there was a really fascinating exhibition on about space.
Yeah, sure.
And the planets and all that. And then they went to the Cutty Sark,
Oh, yes.
which
yes.
they loved. But I don't think they made it here.
Cutty Sark nearly burnt to pieces, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It burnt down very badly.
Yeah, I know.
And there's a big collection,
It's,
5 million
well, it's
quid
not
to
very far
restore
from
it.
my house. I mean,
No,
I
exactly.
I saw it when it was on fire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
I just looked down the river.
I tell you what, whatever food they served and whatever drink they
You
served...
don't remember, do you?
Well, they didn't serve it from a soda stream.
What?
Soda stream?
Oh, I see.
Did you ever have a soda stream?
No.
No?
No, I never had a soda
No,
stream.
but
My
it's
parents had far too much good taste.
You know, it's back. The soda stream.
No, it can't be.
It is.
Why would you bring it back?
I've no idea. I've no idea. It's like bringing back the teas made. They've come back as well.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a teas made?
My mother had a teas made, yeah.
I had a teas made.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, personally?
Yes.
What, you mean in your flat when you were a big boy?
Yes.
When you were grown up?
Yes.
Why?
Because it made a cup of tea
It's
as
like
you
a
woke up in
granny's
the
thing.
morning.
You stay in a hotel and
No.
one rule of thumb is never
Yeah.
stay in a hotel that has a teas made.
Oh.
Absolutely shocking things.
Well, they're about 20 years out of date now. But I mean, in those days, it was the,
It
de
was the
rigueur.
thing to have. I think, in fact, she got it for Christmas or something.
The last thing you had to do at night was fill up the teas made kettle and stick it in there. And then
Yeah.
it literally, it was a fantastic machine in
Was
my
it a
view.
goblin? Most of
I'm
them
not
were.
going to answer that question.
Most of them were.
But,
Most of them were. It's just not.
yeah,
It's just a straightforward question.
Yeah,
Why are you getting all weird about it?
because, you know, you don't have some smutty
It's
sort of
nothing smutty
ideas,
about it.
you know.
There was a goblin teas made. That's what it's called.
And I think it's a fantastic device. There you are, sleeping through the night, and then to wake up to a piping hot cup of tea.
Yeah, but it never was, though.
Well, it
That's
was.
the point.
No, it was. Mine was.
Piping hot cup of tea.
Yeah, piping hot cup of tea.
Yeah.
And you thought, wow, what a start to the day.
And also there was an alarm on it as well.
Yeah, well, the alarm woke you up so you could drink the tea. There's no point in making the tea and letting you sleep on another 2 hours. It'd be cold, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is,
you are an
it was another one of those kind of 70s style, so-called labour-saving devices, which
Yeah, it was
actually
actually,
about
yeah.
as much use as a chocolate fire guard.
Yeah, it was,
Because
actually.
most of the time it didn't work properly.
Well, sometimes you would wake up with a cold cup of tea. I agree.
Or the water would explode all over the place.
Yeah,
you could get burnt.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing about soda streams was that everybody's house that I went to, I remember as a kid, they always had them. Sorry, I'm boring you.
No, of course not. No.
Just checking. You sure you had any sleep?
Yeah, of course.
You've been very punchy today.
Hey, listen, get on with it.
I am getting
Yeah.
on with it. But everybody's house, and they were all in those horrible kind of red, blue, and green sort of metallic, very bright metallic colours.
You know, they used to bring you for Christmas. Oh, look, here's a peach-flavoured bottle for your soda stream.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the outside.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm talking about what was in them.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'm talking
yeah,
about the colour of them on the outside.
Right.
Do you not remember that?
Well, mine was white.
Was it?
It was creamish white,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Well, apparently they're now being sold, and the revenue for the machine maker has risen 52%.
I know.
In the first half of this year, with sales in Canada, Japan, and South Korea.
I can't believe it.
Doing well.
I can't believe
I
it.
don't think people here are buying them.
Well, nobody in the right mind would buy one, would they? There's
Well, I wouldn't have
there's
thought
no
so.
reason. No reason.
Well, there isn't, because I mean, the thing is now the variety of. I mean, my parents were not massive drinkers, but when they grew up, or when they had us, and they didn't really start drinking wine until we were teenagers.
Well, I didn't start drinking wine until I was about 20.
But the variety of booze now on offer,
Used to drink
you don't need a soda stream.
Cuba Libras after coming home from holiday. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics.